right, and welcome back to the Shardbreaker podcast. We are here for the final episode of Mistborn, the Final Empire. We read chapters 34 through to the end of the epilogue. I am Midnight, and I am here with Mythic.
Hello.
And Darkness.
Hi.
That's so unenthusiastic. Hi. All right.
Well, I mean, he's just mad because Rashak came and fucked him up. So
we're gonna get into all sorts
of
things.
I felt like he should have been happy though for the ending, but
I honestly, I wouldn't.
We're gonna get to that. We'll get to those things. All right. First of all, we're starting off obviously with the epigraph of chapter 34, which is, "I never wanted to be feared. If I regret one thing, it is the fear I have caused. Fear is the tool of tyrants. Unfortunately, when the fate of the world is in question, you use whatever tools are available." So do you agree that using fear is okay if the fate of the world is in question?
No.
Of course. Everybody should fear you from the beginning.
Also, what do you guys think this says about the story? Because obviously the Lord Ruler used fear to rule the world after he...
First off, we already know the answers to most of these questions now because we already finished the book. I mean, I've been saying it from the start that he's not the same person.
I know he's not the same person, but still, like, these epigraphs still have a lot... The epigraphs are still meant to have a lot to say about the story, even though you do learn that obviously the writer of this logbook is not the Lord Ruler.
Well, I don't understand. It's like the pages finished where we know it finished, but they're still going. So this is like after, right?
So this is just random parts from before that.
Okay, so it's like just scattered all over the place.
Yeah, I think some of them are scattered. I'm not sure if they're all in order. I'd have to go back and look at them all, but I don't think they're necessarily in order. Because like some of them are just like his thoughts. Although I do think the last epigraph or two might be the actual final pages, because they're like him thinking about like, oh, it's about to come to an end.
I'm gonna die, guys. The one person I thought would stab me in the back stabbed me in the back.
Anyways,
you could see that coming.
If you don't have any more thoughts with the epigraph, we can move on to the fight. One of the two epic fights.
Sure.
So we start with Kelsier's point of view as he charges at the Steel Inquisitor while burning Atium. The Inquisitor also burns Atium as well, and Kelsier swipes at the Inquisitor with daggers, and the Inquisitor uses an axe. Kelsier pushes off a group of soldiers to throw himself at the Inquisitor and kicks him in the face. Kelsier then pulls on a single soldier and then onto a group to his right to cause a soldier to be thrown into the Inquisitor. So these poor soldiers are just being like used as like random objects.
I'm also just gonna say beforehand, I laughed at things in this like these next few chapters that I probably should not have laughed at. But
Oh yeah, no, there's definitely some parts in here that are really funny.
Like Marsh.
What do you think?
Yeah, like people that can't fucking die in this whole book. God damn, just die. Like, why are you not dead?
I love Marsh. Marsh is one of my favorite characters.
I mean, okay, anyway. No. I mean, we'll get to it. Never mind.
We'll get to it. We'll get to it. That's
I'll go on my rant in a minute.
Yeah. That's a couple chapters off.
That part.
Okay. So so he uses that one soldier to throw at the Inquisitor, and the Inquisitor then rips one of the iron cages off of one of the empty carts and throws it at Kelsier, who ends up inside the cage, pushing against all sides to keep himself in the middle of it as it's like launched, in which the Inquisitor gives a nod of respect to once the cage comes to a stop. He's just like, that was good. That was cool of you. Just love that.
I just thought of that like a fucking hamster wheel.
So Kelsier then pushes outward while using pewter to explode the cage. Kelsier pulls and pushes on the metal bars to send them at the Inquisitor, who easily diverts the bars.
Coolest fucking shit ever.
Yeah, he does some really cool shit here. Kelsier and the Inquisitor then move around the area, pushing off soldiers as they go. While Kelsier is flying over the soldiers, he notes that Ham's guards are at the last prisoner cage, but there are Imperial soldiers with obsidian-tipped arrows. Kelsier pushes two metal bars between the archers and the fleeing Ska, and by pushing on one end and pulling on the other, he causes the bars to spin and deflect the arrows. He then crashes the two...
air. He made a fucking fan.
He made like windmill fan things out of the iron bars.
It blew their trajectory down. I was like, that is the coolest motherfucking shit ever. This man is like advanced as hell.
He then crashes the two metal bars into the archers, causing many to die. He then turns to look for the Inquisitor, seeing Ham reach Renault and Spook's cart as he glances around. So yeah, what did you guys think of Kelsier's advanced use of steel and iron in this fight so far?
Until he died, though, it's like, oh man, that was really cool. And he dies in the most pitiful fucking way.
Oh, wait, I'm sorry, but I think I laughed at how he died.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm sorry, but it is the stupidest way after you show this badass fight, and then you're just like, he's dead. Like,
We'll get to that, but I'm pretty sure that's supposed to be the point, is that he's just, like, pathetic compared to the Lord Ruler.
I want the fact that he's having this whole like super fight scene, like long extended shit, like this is the epitome of like, fighting an Inquisitor or whatever, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just gonna leave it at that until we get to the part I'm talking about,
Okay.
because this is like so frustrating to me, bro.
So Kelsier then sees Elend hurry up to Renault, asking which cart Vin was in. The Inquisitor then appears with an obsidian axe in each hand and buries one in Renault's back. The Conjurer's eyes go wide as it jerks. The Inquisitor then looks to Elend, and Kelsier isn't sure if the Inquisitor doesn't recognize Elend or if it just doesn't care. He hesitates for a moment before remembering that Vin loves Elend and then rushes to save him. Kelsier blasts himself into the Inquisitor and begins to strangle him with pewter-enhanced grip. The Inquisitor struggles, and Kelsier realizes that Marsh was right. The Inquisitors do fear for their life and thus can be killed. Elend is right beside Kelsier, and Kelsier tells Elend that Vin wasn't on Renault's barges, so she's fine. One of Elend's bodyguards shows up, and Elend allows himself to be dragged away. The Inquisitor is unable to pry Kelsier's hands off his neck before flipping away, Kelsier following him. So what do you think about Elend dashing into the fight?
Is that not the scene where Kelsier's like, God damn it, girl, I'm gonna save a fucking noble?
Yeah.
I was like, if he didn't had put the whole father-daughter aspect into that right there, I would have been like, yeah, you love her. Like, Jesus Christ, what a cuck move.
But yeah, so what do you think about Elend, like, just fucking dashing into this Inquisitor fighting a Mistborn fight, and was like, I thought he was going to show some.
I thought he was going to show some powers.
No powers.
He just jumps in and he was like, I was like, oh, he's going to like awaken the misting or whatever.
Elend low-key pissed me off like throughout like
the whole next 2 chapters. Yeah, I know. Yeah. The only thing he had going for him was way later when he has a speech that we don't even get to know.
Right, exactly. And I'm just like, you motherfucker.
The dumbest fucking shit. I was like, God damn it. The one thing I wanted from Elend, and you can't even give it to me.
I can see why they fucking love each other. There's literally a match, like.
Yeah, they're both fucking dumb.
Oh my gosh. So Kelsier meets Renault's eyes as the Conjurer leans against a heart and gives a nod. The Conjurer then drops to the ground with a sigh, and Kelsier tells Ham that Renault is dead and to leave. The Inquisitor then speaks to Kelsier, calling him the survivor and saying he was promised a fight, and Kelsier responds that he wasn't done yet. So what were your first thoughts on this interaction between Kelsier and the Conjurer before, like, obviously you had read farther?
What do you mean? That he just said, oh, the Conjurer's dead?
Yeah, the fact that, like, he gives this nod to the Conjurer, then the Conjurer falls over, and then he tells Ham it's dead.
Oh, I didn't actually recognize the fact that he gave a nod to it first.
I'm gonna be honest. Yeah. I didn't either, but
I just straight up thought Renault was dead, and I was like, okay, cool. Another death in this book, and then literally they find out later he's not dead, and I'm like, what the fuck? There's no death in this book.
Yeah, no, I was gonna say, regardless of like me just skimming over the fact that he like, nodded or whatever.
Yeah.
I didn't think he was down. I didn't. I
don't know. From the end of this book, I don't think Kelsier's dead either.
I didn't expect him to like come back the way he did, but I didn't think he was down. So.
Imagine Renault walking back into the hideout. Yeah, guys, I'm not dead.
Yeah, actually.
So we switch to Vin's point of view as she mentions to Doxson that she thinks she saw Elend. She goes to get a better view, but doesn't see him. She knows to Doxson that Renault is down with an axe in his back, and Doxson mentions that it may or may not be fatal for a Kandra. So if you didn't catch the nod, they're just like, yeah, that may or may not actually kill him. He could just be fine.
How do you kill one of those?
We don't know.
No idea.
She also mentions that all the prisoners are free, and she no longer sees Ham or Spook, but that Kelsier is still fighting the Inquisitor. So we switch back to Kelsier as he punches the Inquisitor multiple times, causing it to stumble. In response, the Inquisitor slaps Kelsier and causes him to fall to the ground. Once back on his feet, he begins pulling on tons of small metal and pushing and pulling them all around the Inquisitor, burning atium to each dozen of atium shadows, which again is like super cool. You just got like this like giant ball of like little bits of metal all around him.
It reminds me of like there's a scene in X-Men from Magneto where he does the
Yep.
same kind of idea where he's just like throwing metal around, and anytime it like somebody smacks one down, he just picks it back up and throws it in that mix again. Like
Yeah.
that's pretty much how cool that fucking shit is.
Yeah.
What I didn't like comes later. Like I did like, but I didn't like at the same time comes later.
Mm-hmm.
It's okay. We'll get to it.
So the Inquisitor curses and pushes them all away, but Kelsier lets them go and then quickly grabs them back. He also pulls on soldiers' breastplates, moving around to continue to disorient the Inquisitor. Back to Vin's point of view, Dockson mentions for Vin to pull on him if he gets yanked off the roof by his belt buckle. Because he's, I guess, worried that one of the pieces of metal Kelsier grabs is going to be his belt buckle. However, Vin is mostly focused on Kelsier and his bubble of metal as she realizes that he isn't weaker than a Misting in each metal. Instead, his specialty is iron and steel. Because she's already said, like, oh, like each Misting is like super specialized, but she's like, oh, Kelsier is actually just super specialized in iron and steel.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, jack of all trades, master of none.
Except he is a master of some.
I don't know. All right, first off, if you gave any Misting both the types, I don't think they'd have a problem. They do the same bullshit that he's doing. Could he sway an entire army? I doubt it. Or soothe an entire army? I doubt it.
Mm-hmm.
Could he put depression on an entire like city? Nah.
Well, that's not his specialty.
You're right. So he's not good.
What did you think about Kelsier's specialties here, Darkness?
I thought it was cool, but like I hated that it focused only on like that.
Only with steel and iron.
Yeah.
Nah.
Like it's cool, like you're good at it, like but I was thinking like what would the other parts do in that fight?
I don't think they would do much. I mean, he used atium, he used steel and iron, he used pewter. I think those are the three, or not three, but the four main like battle.
And he sometimes uses tin and stuff
powers.
depending on the situation.
Yeah, but like the battle stuff instead of like the surveillance. Like you need both in a battle, but like he's using the stuff that is literally almost created for fighting somebody else.
Yeah, he's not much of a soother rioter kind of person.
Yeah, exactly. Which is why I was like, what would like happen if they were like focused on the other ones instead?
Yeah, that's the thing. Like,
obviously you would develop a way to fight with them. So
yeah, I mean, I remember thinking through the whole fight was the fact that like he's had time to learn this, and Vin hasn't, and yet she seems to be excelling at all of these things.
Which, like, by the way, is a thing. Like later on,
yeah. But I remember thinking at this point too that he might be doing such great things with this iron and steel. That obviously, she learns it later. She picks it up later. Almost like it's one of those things of in My Hero Academia, Bakugo or whatever is said to have great battle intelligence, but not intelligence out of the combat. But he has great battle intelligence, as in like he can see something happen in the middle of a battle and then change how he does or what he implements it into his ability. And I feel like that's kind of what she has, like in that sense. Like she can do the same thing where she sees something happening and she's like, "Oh, I could do that. It's not that hard." And like figure it out with nobody explaining it to her. She just knows.
Yeah.
Like, and that's what I was thinking was like, okay, well, maybe she'll come into this. I mean, we get more context, or not more context, but we get a little better insight into possibly her being a stronger person. But like she could do kind of what the Lord Ruler ends up doing, in general, like with the soothing.
Yeah.
Or she could soothe an entire city. So it makes it impressive, sure, but I don't know. I feel like he needs to be more impressive in all of his fields. He has everything.
Yeah. I think the problem with it is he doesn't think well enough of the metals, because he's like since the beginning of the book kind of like talks down soothing and writing as well as bronze and copper. He's like, oh, you should know a little bit, but they really don't matter. And I think it's more just his like pride and his like perspective on them that's really holding him back.
No, they're all sleeping on gold. All right, all of them are sleeping on gold.
What do you think's so good about gold?
I don't know, but it's got to be good. It's just got to be. I was also writing on something else, but we'll get to that when I get there.
I just get a mental picture of like Mythic just like slobbering on a gold bar.
I would swallow an entire ingot of gold, right? If it helped me do some shit. Damn.
So we move back to Kelsier's point of view as he shoots bits of metal at the Inquisitor, feeling angrier and asking if it was the one that killed his brother. The
Yeah,
Inquisitor.
on that topic though of the bar, I do remember thinking later about why didn't he just, him or her, why didn't they just swallow the whole goddamn bar?
I think it's just because the bar might just be too large to actually physically swallow.
Like, I mean, come on, if it burns that quick, you kind of need a lot in your body.
He should have just practiced, swallowing beforehand.
Yeah, all right, but yeah, my brother. Nail your head into a fucking wooden thing.
Yeah, we're getting there. So yeah, he asks if this Inquisitor is the one that killed his brother, and the Inquisitor lets out a strong push again, and Kelsier releases his bits of metal as they fly away. He pushes himself to the Inquisitor and begins bashing its head in with a cobblestone. And the Inquisitor tries to push itself forward, but the hitting of the cobblestone had buried the back of its head spikes into the wood of the cart, which I love that image of it just being like trying to yank its head away, just being stuck to this fucking wooden cart.
Okay. So while I'm imagining this image, right?
Yeah.
This same Inquisitor picked up a cage and threw it at him. How can you not lift your head up with the cart attached with pewter or something? Like, use your abilities that you have. You seem to be showing this superhuman strength, yet when he nails your head to a cart.
Well, I think the problem is he might rip his eye spikes out when he does that.
Or he could just lift his head up and it be still attached. I mean, it seems to.
Well, I think it's about the strength of the metal in his face, not so much about his body strength.
But he's smashing his head in with the cobblestone, and the spikes are obviously embedded enough to push his entire head into it instead of the spikes through his head. Like, it didn't explain it that, like, it's like.
No, so it's just the part of the spikes that are out of his head that are in the wood. Like, his head isn't embedded in the wood.
No, but the spikes are, and that's what I'm saying. Like, so you have to have something to have, like, where your face is. Why didn't it push the spikes through his head when he smacked it? You know what I'm saying? Like, it has to be embedded in your head in some level. That, like, him smashing this cobblestone in didn't already push the spikes out the back of his head.
Yeah, I don't know.
Maybe he just has, like, that gorilla grip.
And then just lift a cart with your head, Neck muscles, man. Neck muscles.
Yeah, so the Inquisitor tries to push itself forward, but yeah, it buried its back of its head spikes into the wood of the cart, keeping it trapped. Kelsier then grabs one of the obsidian axes off the ground and tells the Inquisitor he's glad he was talked into this. He then beheads the Inquisitor, killing it. The Scot in the crowd whisper and cheer just as Kelsier is thinking things might go well. He feels the presence of the Lord Ruler. He turns and sees the black carriage coming towards them. So yeah, were you surprised that Kelsier was able to kill an Inquisitor?
Oh, not at all. But I wasn't surprised that the Lord Ruler was going to show up personally.
Oh, I was waiting for that.
Yeah, I don't think anyone was not expecting it.
This man's definitely showing up to this fight. But,
yeah.
I mean, if you gave me context of it, like the later part of when you meet him and all that, if you gave me that context first, I might have been a little less like, oh, he's going to show up because he doesn't seem to care. But, like, I knew he was going to show up. Like, when we were sitting here fighting, I'm like, you're fighting an Inquisitor. This man just could be like, hey, I'm going to show you how much better than an Inquisitor I actually am.
Yeah. So we go back to Vin's point of view as she and Doxson feel the Lord Ruler soothing. Vin asks why Kelsier isn't running, and Doxson says this is the chance Kelsier had been waiting for, and he must have brought the 11th medal with him. The Lord Ruler then steps out of his carriage. He's dressed in a black and white suit that is more extravagant than a nobleman's suit. He wears a lot of rings on his fingers, like the rumors say. He is also very handsome, with jet black hair and pale skin. He's tall, thin, confident, and looks younger than Kelsier. So what were your first thoughts? What were your first thoughts on the Lord Ruler appearance before anything further in the book?
The man looks good for fucking millennials of years.
It stated what he was wearing, right?
Yeah, it's a black and white suit with like a long train to it.
Yeah, I was thinking more about like fashion sense wise.
I mean,
I was interested in the outfit.
I mean, yeah, it was pretty cool. I don't remember how they explained it exactly, but like it was definitely. I like that he explained exactly like the fit. He didn't just throw it away. He'd be like, "Oh yeah, he's wearing this," He explained it pretty good in detail.
Yeah, I think they mentioned it has like a long like train to the back of the suit jacket, and like the vest is like pure black with white embroidery and stuff like that. Yeah, so suddenly one of Ham's thugs and 4 other men charge the Lord Ruler. The thug shoves his spear through the Lord Ruler's chest, and then a second one, but neither even causes the Lord Ruler to pause. An Inquisitor then takes down the 5 men. Once the Lord Ruler is only a few feet from Kelsier, he glances at the dead Inquisitor and tells him that they are very hard to replace. He then,
Yeah.
yeah,
Wonder how. I wonder why.
he's like, these things are very hard to replace. How dare you? Once the Lord Ruler is only a few feet from Kelsier, oh no, I read that. He then says he killed Kelsier once, but Kelsier says he tried and failed. He is hope. The Lord Ruler just snorts and backhands Kelsier so hard there is a crack and a spray of blood. The Lord Ruler then takes one of the spears out of his chest and rams it through Kelsier before saying it's time for the executions and gets back in his carriage. So, what were your thoughts on Kelsier's death?
When he got backhanded, I fucking started cackling.
He's literally, yeah, I kind of did too. But he didn't even fight. This guy shows up, the guy you have such a fucking hatred for, and you just sit there like a fucking stray dog.
I'm assuming he burned the 11th medal and then was very confused.
Well, I thought didn't he say he had already, like, later, doesn't he say in his note that he had already tried using it and realized that it didn't do anything? It was safe to burn, but he couldn't figure out what it did.
I think he said it was safe to burn, but he didn't know what it did. I'm assuming he'd always used it in private, and so, like, he uses it in front of the Lord Ruler, probably, I mean, as we learn later, sees the Lord Ruler's other two selves, and is like, oh, fuck, and then he's suddenly backhanded and pretty much instantly killed.
I mean, if he was instantly killed, why throw a spear through it, first off?
Because why not?
I mean,
we know that, like, half his face is basically gone. But anyways, also, did you guys think Kelsier was actually dead when you read this?
Yeah.
But yeah.
Because I'm going to be honest, when I was reading through this and I was, like, going through in the Santa Latch, I was like, Kelsier's not dead. And I just kept moving on, just expecting him to come back. I was like, no. Kelsier's not... I had no... There was no thought in my mind that Kelsier was actually dead there, and it took me until later, I think in the next chapter or the chapter after, to be like, wait, he's actually dead?
I mean, I feel like for me, if I didn't think he was dead at that point, I would have definitely thought he was dead when he shows up again, but not him.
Yes, like, no, that's what I realized. I was like, wait a second, he's actually dead? I didn't think he was dead.
Yeah, but only because they explained the way that works. And I was like, okay, yeah, he'd have to be gone to, you know.
Anyways, Darkness, you were trying to say something?
I thought he was dead, but, like, for a second, I was like, what if he's not? Because the Lord Ruler was like, didn't I kill you already or some shit?
He did say that. He did say, I killed you once.
I think he meant just by sending him to the pits, that basically usually kills people.
I don't think that's the...
I mean, the way he said it is, I killed you once.
Yeah. Which at that point, I was like, why he say like that? Like, does someone already take his bones and shit? But, yeah.
Yeah, I just, on my first read-through, I just went over this, and I'm like, yeah, he's still alive. Zero thought otherwise, just kept going.
The last picture is the greatest one I've found.
What the fuck?
It's the Lord Ruler.
Oh my gosh.
You don't like the Lord Ruler?
I
had all these saved in my computer already.
So Vin then screams for Kelsier and hurries to his body as Inquisitor and soldiers begin killing Ska. She notes that there is almost nothing remaining of the left side of his face, but the right side is still smiling in death. Vin screams...
Okay. When she did that, all I could think to myself is, they didn't even say the Lord Ruler's gone yet.
No, he got back in his carriage. They did say he gets back in his carriage.
But they didn't say he was gone. She said she could still feel him. So, like,
I don't think he cares about her at this point.
But, like, I didn't know that. Okay, I didn't know what the fuck his thing was. All right, I figured she would be on his fucking radar. All right, like,
apparently not.
She's fucking powerful. I was like, she's gonna be on your radar. But then she just like flies in. She's like, oh my god, Kelsey, or well, you know, oh my god, Dad, pretty much. Yeah, like, she shows up and it's just like, oh, I'm like, oh, well, she's dead now. They're just gonna all turn on her and murder her. Because I'm pretty sure at this point he had told the Inquisitors to murder everybody around.
So I believe at this point I guess there's at least one other Inquisitor because it killed the other men. But basically, Kelsier killed the Inquisitor that was the most looking for Vin and was the one that was tracking her. And then the Lord Ruler, I think, literally doesn't know anything about Vin, because it sounds like we learned that later. But it sounds like the Inquisitors didn't believe the other guy about the whole story he had about her.
Mm-hmm.
So they're like, whatever.
I expected Vin to fly in there like fucking 20 minutes ago.
Yeah, or way earlier. Yeah, I was expecting her to help defend him. soon as I thought, like, because they made a comment about the breaking thing, and I was like, oh man, she's gonna have an actual break now, and like something's gonna happen where she's gonna go insane.
I mean, the
Walk,
snapping?
yeah, that's it. Yeah, when they snap, and I was like, she's gonna just go in here. She's gonna like pick up every bit of metal in the area and just be like a tornado of shit. I'm like, her powers are just gonna awaken now. Nah.
Well, she already has her powers awakened. She's already snapped.
Well, no, but I mean, like,
She's gonna snap twice. She's gonna go.
well, no, like, I mean, the only thing I can lighten it to is like Dragon Ball Z or anything like that. But where, like, yeah, sure, you think you're, at your peak, but then something like this happens and it pushes you even further over the edge. And, she's just like, all her abilities are just being, used, subconsciously. And she's in like a fit of rage and, shit like that. Like, that's what I thought. I was like, oh, she's going to fly in here. She's going to like murder like 3 Inquisitors. And,
well, she gets there eventually.
Well, yeah, I was going to say,
first off, no. Okay, she didn't murder any of them. She's
Not the
straight
Inquisitors.
She straight up said, "Hey guys, I'm gonna throw a bunch of shit into you, and I'm gonna just walk past you."
Okay, but like,
bitch, you
she murdered someone more powerful, technically.
Oh yeah, but that's after like failing once.
But she does it.
Yeah, and she had help from a fucking Inquisitor herself.
Who got knocked the fuck out for like a while.
But she still had help.
Anyways.
I mean, stop a lot of Inquisitor helping him to kill her. I know, I got us all off track. I got so many rants on this last couple chapters. Oh.
So Ham comes and tows her away, and then in Vin's mind, Reen's voice says he had told her that Kelsier would leave her eventually.
I remember thinking to myself, God damn it, fucking go away. Who the fuck are you? Stop fucking chastising your sister the entire time.
So then we're in part 5, Believers in a Forgotten World, chapter 35. And the epigraph is, I know what will happen if I make the wrong choice. I must be strong. I must not take the power for myself, for I have seen what will happen if I do. So do you think if someone were to use the power selfishly, that the world, or selflessly, that the world could be fixed?
No. It goes into a theory I have later, but no.
Okay. Darkness?
Yeah, why not? They did it selfishly now. Might as well try it the other way.
I agree with you on that. They did it selfishly this time, so they should probably try the opposite side. But the problem I find in that is that there's nobody who is selfless enough that it would matter. There will always be a selfish reason to use it, and power corrupts people. So
yeah, but I feel like selflessness can override selfishness. So
I mean, that's
regardless of like the small amount of selfishness that there can be, as long as there's more selflessness, then you're fine. Because you can always have that feeling, you just don't have to act upon it.
Yeah, so. And if you were given the power that you could act upon it, most people will like. Okay, it's that whole thing of like, if you give somebody a red button that would do something that they have no idea about. Right, they don't know what the possibilities are. They're gonna think about it. They're gonna be like, oh well, maybe it could do this, maybe it could do that, and eventually, over time, if they have it long enough, they're gonna hit the red button.
Yeah, but there's always gonna be that person that's like super fucking terrified of what's gonna happen. They're not gonna pass it. That's exactly why there was a fucking prophecy, because there's that one person who can actually value the cores.
Rashek
it's the whole point of the prophecy. Yeah. Yeah, but like
somebody will come around and kill Vin too. Somebody will come around and kill Vin too, because I mean you can't. Okay, so even if let's say we do have a person who is so selfless or afraid of this power that itself, somebody else is going to come along who is seeing what's going on and go, oh hey, maybe we should try this because you have power. Why wouldn't you use that power? Somebody's going to corrupt you if it's not you yourself corrupting you.
Yeah, but they weren't corrupted; they were killed. So,
well, I mean,
we don't know what would have happened because he was killed. We don't know if he would have used it selfishly or not.
Exactly. But up until the end, for what we learned in journals, he wasn't corrupted that way.
Yeah, but how selfless?
Until the journal stopped.
Well, he says he didn't want to use it selfishly, but he even himself was scared that he would, once taking the power, that he would be corrupted by it.
Yeah, I think it's like burning fire with fire, pretty much. Like you have to be evil to stop the evil, whatever the deepness is. You have to kind of almost get on its level. And like, unfortunately, that's just how it seems to work, I think. And it, like I said, it goes into a theory I have later with what the Lord Ruler says at the very end of his
All right.
life.
Yeah, we'll get to that.
But yeah, like I feel like you kind of have to become the evil to fight the evil that is there. Like it's like the election. No, I'm kidding. Trump.
Oh,
No, we're not getting
gosh.
into
We're
this.
not
No,
getting
No,
into
we're not.
politics.
Yeah.
Mm.
Well, I mean, you take-
Even if you try
here's-
using
here's a-
examples with simple like
here's a
policy stuff,
platter.
I'm not gonna do it.
Here's a platter. Here's 2 poisons. You have to take one of them.
Anyways,
Just don't.
so we start this
Okay, you're
chapter
dead.
with Vin
That's
in
fine.
the mist, thinking of Kelsier and that him dying was a betrayal. She thinks that at least Reen had been truthful and told her he would leave her, while Kelsier had told her to trust him and then left. Sace then comes to the rooftop and calls out for her. Vin drops down from where she had been hovering in the air and thinks about how many Ska had been killed and trampled after Kelsier's death that day, and asks Sace if Kelsier's death meant anything. Vin then says Kelsier lied about having a plan, but Sace says that maybe he didn't have time to execute it or the plan failed. He also mentions that belief is not just for good times, but you need to believe even when there is failure. He also says he'll have to come back and collect stories of Kelsier at some point, as it seems like he's become a religious figure to the Ska. So what were your thoughts on Kelsier becoming a religious figure?
I honestly didn't expect that.
Says has been saying it for like ever now, though. Talking about religion this whole time.
Which is even more surprising because like I didn't expect it.
Mm-hmm. I didn't expect Kelsier to be a god, like seen as a god, but I definitely thought he'd be something like he would be seen as a martyr.
Oh yeah, for sure. Like I knew that.
Like he's been
Like a god.
he's been lining this up from the start, even with his what you guys say is the bad thing he did, or he gave them hope by kind of showing that he could give his power to people, even though this was false.
Mm-hmm.
Like it created this image of like how good he is, and then they kind of all rallied behind that because they needed that thing.
Yeah.
I mean, we figure out that they definitely needed that thing to rally up because they're being fucking stifled by the Lord
The
Ruler.
soothing
But
stations and stuff.
yeah,
Lord Ruler.
yeah, so I mean, like,
Yeah.
it made sense. But like, I don't know about godhood.
So Vin then asks about the others, and Sage mentions that they'll probably all split up and go to different towns. Sage is planning to go to his homeland and give information on the logbook, and mentions that Vin cannot join him, but he will come back. Sage and Vin then hear voices and see some Ska in the streets calling out to others. Sage gets the rest of the crew, and they listen to the man speak of Kelsier and how they didn't help him when there were thousands of them. They also see another light in the distance, and then more of them. Doxson then said that this was Kelsier's real plan, that they were too small a group, but the whole city of Ska could overthrow the city. Vin then asks to be taken to the warehouse, and they find tons of weapons, which Vin says the people will need. Ham wonders why they need an army, and then a voice speaks up in the warehouse, saying that Kelsier needed a corps for the army that was trained to fight. Kelsier also still needs the nobles to fall and the garrison to leave the city, that the Ska wouldn't rise up without a new god. So, had you realized Kelsier's full plan before this point? That he was... No? Darkness, did you ever figure out Kelsier's plan? To actually somehow get all of the Ska? Because he was, like, visiting them and, like, making them believe he was, like, all-powerful. Like, that was his plan to, like, give them a new god so that they would actually all rise up.
So, I figured that they would rise up because they saw his sacrifice, but I didn't think it would be like, oh, he's our god now, sort of thing. So
yeah, I figured he'd be a martyr for sure. I figured that was a good plan, but I mean, I kind of agree with Vin's statement later about why they didn't just use the Conjura, but because that to me would have made a lot more sense.
So Renault then walks forward, but he looks like Kelsier. Renault says that this was his part of the plan, what he was contracted for. He was to become Kelsier once Kelsier died, to give faith and hope to the Ska. Vin asks what he is, and the Conjure makes its face go translucent for a moment, showing its bones. And Vin calls it a Mistwraith. Renault explains that he's a Conjura, a Mistwraith that grew up. So, what did you think about that? What did you think about the fact that he now looks like Kelsier?
That's cool. Both of them. I was right that somebody steals Kelsier's body, though.
What did you think, Darkness?
I thought it was cool too, and I was just like wondering because I was just like low-key amazed because I was like, what does like a full-grown like Mistwraith do? You know, like that was one of my questions. Like, what do they look like and stuff? But you know,
yeah,
I think
So what they look like is silences from fucking Doctor Who. That's how I see it, at least.
Well, they basically look the same as the Mithraeus, but it sounds like they're more sentient and in control of how they form. So they're not just
That's
like
the thing.
random bones
I
in like weird shapes.
I need to go back to like Myth
So they're like
Myth
basically translucent, and you can see their bones through their skin.
Yeah.
But yeah, so the conjurer then says there's a large piece of paper on the table for them to read and that he has work to do. Before he leaves, he gives Vin a small pouch, and the crew hurries to the table and sees a map of the city with a note from Kelsier on it. The note explains what they are to do, and Renault will be taking out the soothing stations with the assassin teams that they had gathered. Kelsier ends the note saying to remember that it was a fun job and to smile. The map was divided into segments with different crew member names on it, but Vin and Zayas were left out. So what do you think of Kelsier's final words to the crew?
I'm sorry, I was just thinking, did he expect to get bitch smacked? Like,
I'm pretty sure he expected to die, yes.
Yes.
I think he
being
hoped,
bitch smacked.
not maybe bitch slapped, but I think he knew that the 11th medal was a long shot. I think he hoped he could kill the Lord Ruler, but he had lots of plans in place for if he died.
I mean, first off, this man gave that false hope of 11th medal is what's going to kill the Lord Ruler so much that Vin believed it and still tried to use it after his death. Like, it's okay. I'm sure she'll figure out what that does. I also want to know what the name of the medal is. So I also want to know what the name of the 12th medal is going to be too.
So Vin then opens the pouch the conjurer had given her and finds inside ATM the 11th medal and a note. The note states that Kelsier never figured out how to use the medal, but that it's safe to burn. He apologizes for abandoning her and says that she needs to be the crew's Mistborn now and protect them in the months to come. It also mentions that she made him reconsider having all the nobles killed, that he'll tell Mare about her in death, as Mare always wanted a daughter. Vin and Sayas then speak to each other about Vin not having anything to do, and Vin says she needs to do something. She then finds a second note, which says that along with the jobs he had given Doxon, Breeze, and Ham, a kingdom also needs a good assassin. Vin then begins collecting items such as stone arrowheads and large rings of metal. She also downs a bunch of medals along with some of the 11th medal. Sayas asks what she's doing, and she says she's going to find out what's in the room in the Lord Ruler's palace. So what do you think of Kelsier's final notes to Vin?
Aw, Dad.
She lost substitute dad, and she's going to lose real dad soon.
Oh fuck.
Well, nobody gives a fuck about real dad. So
That's true.
I found
Real
it
dad didn't even
satisfying
know
to
he was a
find out.
real dad.
I found that sad that he didn't know he was a real dad. But
Why?
because I
Just killed her.
because I genuinely think, well, yeah, I definitely think he'd kill her, but I genuinely think that like he didn't know. Like he said, she was in or had a child, but like he didn't know.
Yeah.
Like I feel like he would have killed her, yes, probably, but like
He should have gotten the chance. Is that what you're saying?
I feel like he should have got the chance to be a dad. Yeah.
Oh, I meant to kill her.
Well, yeah, that's to be a dad in this society. So
Fair.
Well, maybe he would have beaten her part to death, and she snaps, and then he's like, oh shit, I've got a Mistborn daughter.
yeah, and then I can fake her being a noble, and
Yeah,
teach her as
exactly.
a noble like that.
And then-
I mean, give him the option.
Use her against the Inquisitors, because we have a big beef with the Inquisitors.
Yeah, that beef is just
Beef.
There is, so chapter 36, short epigraph, says, I've decided that I'm thankful for Rashek's hatred. It does me well to remember that there are those who abhor me. My place is not to seek popularity or love. My place is to ensure mankind's survival. So do you think that being hated is okay if it ensures mankind's survival?
Yeah.
100%.
So then do you agree with the Lord Ruler if he was actually
yeah.
saving mankind from the deepness?
Yes.
Fuck the ska.
First off, yes, I agree with him. At the end of this, when he dies and he makes his comment, I was
we'll
like,
get to that.
yes, I
I've got a few
believe
questions on that.
100% that this man was like, it was picking the correct poison. Sure, terrible life, great, but something bigger is coming because you stupid ass killed him.
So Vin approaches Krennic Shaw and tells 4 men guarding the door that there was a rebellion and that the rebels could use their training. She riots their emotions a bit and the men leave. Vin then walks down the hallway, only pushing herself to go quicker when some guards come out and yell out an alarm. She knows that there will be people waiting for her, so she sees no need to rush, which I just found kind of badass. She's just like strolling down the hallway of credit shop being like, yeah, there's gonna be people waiting for me. I don't give a fuck.
Mm-hmm.
So when Vin enters the room, 2 Inquisitors are waiting for her. Vin burns atium and shoots out the stone arrowheads, loosely covered in metal rings. When the Inquisitor tries to push back on them, the metal comes off, but the arrowheads still hit him, as well as the leg of the other Inquisitor. Vin then throws a handful of pewter dust at the standing Inquisitor to blind him, as he'd see lines of each of the individual specks of pewter. Vin uses this and her atium to be able to stab the Inquisitor in the thigh with one of her daggers, and is glad that she had been right about their eyesight. So what were your thoughts on how Vin chose to fight the Inquisitors?
She didn't. All she did was throw shit at him and say, alright, I'm gonna walk by.
My thought process was like, why the fuck would he go in there expecting to fight the fucking Inquisitors, knowing damn well that your fucking dad just fucking died fighting only one?
Well, he didn't die to the Inquisitor.
He practically did. The Inquisitor got some shots in.
Well, that's why she doesn't want to fully face them. Her plan is to try and get past them, figure out what's in that room, and then leave.
I was also wondering, how the fuck did she know the shit about the eyesight? Like,
Well, she was guessing, she says.
yeah, I guess in this situation.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
She's like, the only thing that makes sense is that they can see the outlines of things with metal.
I mean, it's a very well-educated guess. I mean, but you state the fact that, like, her plan is to get past them, go inside, look and see what's in here, and then leave. But
That's what she says.
But this woman does not do that. She walks in, she goes, ooh, nothing here. Oh, old man, okay, I'm going to stand here for a bit and figure out what the hell I'm seeing. Like, God damn it, woman.
No, because the fact that she was just like, oh, old man, okay, yeah, right. Like, no, bitch, there's an old man there, like, what the fuck is he doing?
Yeah, like, she's straight up fucking weird. Like, how, like, oh, I'm sorry, locked room in the back that, is well guarded, and you're like, oh, hey, old man's just sitting in here. He's nothing.
I think for a moment I had, like, when I was reading this the first time, I had, like, the thought that maybe, like, the Lord Ruler is actually a succession of people, and this is, like, the current Lord Ruler's, like, dad or something.
Okay, so when I saw this, and they state, oh, Lord Ruler, whatever, I was like, okay, what if, because I was still on the whole train of, like, not being both, but being one, he's a fucking whatever, and he uses his rings, because I don't think they've ever stated about the bracelets until way later.
Well, I think so he wears long sleeves. So
yeah. So like, I'm like, okay, he has his age in his rings, like one of these, people. Okay, he gets better. And then the other thought I had was, okay, well, let's say he's a Allomancer. Maybe the 11th metal, whatever it is, sure, you see this other part of you. Maybe just like, or maybe gold is what I was thinking. Actually, I wasn't thinking the 11th metal. What if gold, if you could, like, step into your alternate self and be that? That's what I was thinking originally when I was like, when he walks out and he's all, gorgeous and he kills Kelsier, and then now you see him as an old man. I'm like, what if gold being slept on is because, like, you could step into your past self and be that kind of idea?
That's an interesting theory. I like it.
It would be an awesome theory, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Am I right, though?
I'm not going to tell you.
Oh, okay. Well, am I right, though?
I'm not going to tell you.
Why not?
Because we have 2 more books in this trilogy, and then we have 4 books in Era 2.
Am I wrong, though?
I don't know. Maybe you are, maybe you aren't.
You do know.
What if I don't know?
But you do.
But what if I don't?
Oh my god, that means then I won't get answers, and I want answers to these questions. If we go through all 3 of these books and I don't have answers to these questions, I'm gonna riot.
Okay, you're gonna remember, there's supposed to be 4 eras of Mistborn. You are not gonna get answers to every single metal in this book series.
I don't get answers to what gold is in these 3 books.
That's the, I don't think we're gonna get an answer anytime soon, because, like, that's the one metal that's not even fucking mentioned that much in this book.
We've got these 3 books, and then we've got 4 books for Era 2, and then we've still got 2 eras of Mistborn that are not out yet. I'll tell you that now.
You're not instilling me with a lot of confidence, right?
Anyways.
So wanting to read more of these books.
So Vin throws another handful of pewter dust as she bursts into the building, which is inside a building. Her plan is to learn about any secrets from the room and then run, not to kill the Inquisitors, as she had seen how hard it had been for Kelsier to kill one. However, the inside of the building seemed to be a homely living space with furs and a hearth, a place to keep memories of the past. She then sees a man that appears to be in his 70s sitting in a chair by the hearth, which he turns around to face her. Just
Pretty
as
sure it's
Vin...
called a hearth, but okay.
Hearth.
Pretty sure it's
I
a
thought it was
hearth.
the hearth. Yeah.
Do you not pronounce it?
Another
It
one
has the
tonight.
EA.
Another-
It has the
I-
EA. It
I
has.
say we
It's
go
spelled
Google.
EA.
Let's see, Google. What? Google.
Okay.
How do you say hearth?
And how do you say heart? Like literally, like in your body.
Yeah, hearth. Hearth.
Yeah, you're saying hearth.
Look, I'm trying my best here. Stop making
Because
fun of me.
the only reason. Okay, you know what? I'm not even gonna go into why I know how it's spelled. But, you know.
Just as Vin was about to try to leave, one of the Inquisitors grabs her. The Inquisitor requests for her to not be killed, and the Lord Ruler reluctantly agrees. Vin then tries burning the 11th metal and thinks nothing happened. She then notices two men next to the Lord Ruler, one wearing furs and smiling, and one in a nobleman's suit who looks like a wealthy merchant. When the 11th metal burns out, both men disappear. So what were your thoughts on the power of the 11th metal?
Seems a lot like gold. I wonder why. Hence why I was like, there can't be 11. There has to be 12.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Like, I mean, I still think there's more than that. So I still think there's 16 in total.
Do you have any idea what this metal might be, since you have all your theories of metals, Mythic?
I mean, I have a whole list. But give me a second. Let me go look at it. I didn't put it in my thing because I feel like it's not going to be a name of a metal. Like an actual metal, it's going to be. Go ahead, Darkness. While I'm looking.
I will give you this, Mythic. It is the name of an actual metal. All of the metals,
awesome,
except for
awesome.
atium,
Okay.
all of the metals except for atium are real metals.
Is it cadmium? I think it's cadmium.
I think the 11th metal.
Cadmium. I don't know how it's said. I think it's cadmium, but it's spelled like this.
Okay, I'm
I
kind of
think
cadmium. I think it's pronounced.
Yeah, that's how I'm thinking. It's cadmium.
I'm kind of tempted to just tell you the name of it because I don't think they actually have a name for it just yet in Mistborn Era 1. They don't give it to you until Mistborn Era 2, but I don't think it's really a spoiler what the name of it is. Do you want to know?
Yes.
Wait.
I mean, I always want to know the questions.
What are you giving us the name of?
Just the name of the gold
The 11th
alloy.
metal. Oh,
Okay,
isn't that the 11th metal?
Have we settled on what the alloy is? Like which one?
No, that's what I was going to tell you. That's what I was going
Here's
to
the
tell
thing.
you is which
Here's
alloy
the
it is.
thing. Here's the thing. Before she says it, all right. The only reason I think that the 11th metal would be the like juxtaposed to the gold is because of how similar their abilities are. And so
That's what I was saying.
I'm hoping
No, we
that the
literally
11th
get
metal
told.
is this.
We get told by Ben that it is. She's like fairly certain it is.
She theorizes that like has to be that way, but like that ATM would have its own counterpart, and then gold would have the 11th metal as a counterpart. That's her theory, from what she says, which makes a lot of sense. But because, like I said, even when it happened, I was like, she just burned gold. Like that's what that seemed like, except for the fact that it was reversed. Mm-hmm. Instead of it being her, it was an other person. I think it's cadmium.
An alloy, like okay, you know what?
An alloy of gold, I believe.
Can you just give us the name?
Yeah, that's what I was gonna do. I was just gonna give you the name of it. As I said, I'm gonna give Mythic one more chance. It's what you were very insistent on, Mythic, that there was gonna be one of.
Electrum?
It's Electrum.
Silver?
Electrum?
No way.
Oh, okay.
It's Electrum.
Oh, okay.
Electrum, I believe, is an alloy of gold.
I don't remember that. Well, I mean, I also didn't know Electrum was an actual metal. I only put it in here because I thought it was. It's a D&D thing.
Yeah, Electrum is an naturally occurring alloy of gold and silver, with trace amounts of copper and other metals.
Okay.
Would that mean that?
So ATM also should have its own then too. I would think.
Remember, ATM is a made-up metal, so I'm not going to tell you whether it has an opposite or not, because that one's not as obvious.
I'm just stating it as a thing.
I'm pretty sure
I have two theories on this. I have two theories that are all both going together on this. But I think ATM has another metal that goes tandem with it, as well as I think it's going to be a made-up metal again, because ATM's a made-up metal, so there's no reason to put another metal, like an actual metal, as its counterpart if it has a counterpart.
So this is what Electrum looks like. So if you remember, they described what the 11th metal looks like, and it's basically this.
Hmm.
So if you, for some reason, were like a metal specialist, you may have people may have may figure it out.
I barely know metal. Like
I know.
I knew certain things. I looked up a list of all the periodic table of metals, and I just did that, and then I put those in to plug those in. It was like, okay, it might be this and this and this. You know,
But they
I
don't
have a whole
really.
bunch
I
of
don't think
lists.
they like spell it out for you what the name of the metal is until Era 2, just because they don't have a name for it in Era 1 because it was an unknown metal. That's why I'm just like, I don't think it's a spoiler to just give you the name of the metal before we like wait like 2
It's
years or
Electrum.
something.
Awesome. I was at least right about Electrum
Yeah,
as a metal.
you were just because one of the very first metals you said was Electrum, and I was like, damn.
Gold and Electrum. Those are my two first metals. Where I said
Yep.
like they're gonna have gold and they're gonna have Electrum. I swear those are like, why would you not have that into a fantasy world?
And they did.
And they did exactly. I was like, ah, like man, you're
got it.
living out my D&D fantasies here. You got silver, you got copper, you got fucking gold, you got Electrum.
We don't got silver.
On.
We don't got silver yet.
I know they
Well,
don't.
technically you do, because it's an alloy of it, but you know.
It's technically a mix of gold and silver, but it's specifically supposed to be like an alloy of gold. Like a lot of alloys have a mix of different metals, but this one's specifically like the gold alloy. So if Mythic is right and there was a silver and then an alloy of silver, it would be a different alloy of silver. That is specifically its opposite.
Now I want to look at if silver has an alloy. I'm still going on the fact that there's 16 metals. I just want there to be more metal. Like, I mean, there's no reason now for me to believe that because we've kind of already gotten, if I'm right, the 12th would be would have Electrum, or not Electrum, sorry, ATM would have a second counterpart. But, and then we have everybody's, counterparts. So you'd have to almost create more powers. But I mean, I still have this odd feeling there has to be another metal because the Inquisitors heal super fast. Did my mic go out?
Nope.
No.
I was just
okay.
letting you
Cool.
talk.
Okay.
I was just letting you
Okay,
talk.
cool. Yeah, like I just feel like they have to have another. Like they have to explain that. There has to be a way to explain that.
If there is another metal and it's a healing metal, I'm naming it after me. Me myself.
I mean, I feel like it's already got a name if there is a healing metal, but okay.
No, it's gonna be named after me because I literally called it throughout the whole book. I want a healing metal, you know.
I mean, there's the Ferrochemy one. Remember?
What's there a healing Ferrochemy?
I don't think they say which metal it is, but Ferrochemists say they can heal.
Well, yeah, I mean, look at the Lord Ruler, but
yeah, like the Lord Ruler, I was trying to rule out because he had both. But like, I mean, okay, maybe. Oh god, that just makes me wonder if the fucking if the Inquisitors are able to use both now. Then.
Anyways, we should keep going here.
Yeah,
that's what that's what I was kind of wondering too, because it would make sense for the spikes to be,
Yeah, would be metal objects.
Yeah.
That are embedded in their bodies. Oh my god.
That's what I was
suddenly like, oh no.
Yeah, it would make more sense. Oh man, my 16th metal, my 16 metals are going out the window. Oh, I'm hoping there's a healing metal, because if Ferrochemy has a metal, so why wouldn't Allomancy have the same metal? Maybe do the same thing. I don't know.
Well, no, because remember they have the Ferrochemy metals are the same as the Allomancy metals, but they do different things.
But they didn't state what that metal was.
No. But they did state that ATM does something different because ATM stores youth, whereas in Allomancy it shows the future.
I still want to give Sace the 11th metal.
They stated ATM is what gives youth?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why did I miss that? Interesting.
I believe Sace mentions it after the Lord Ruler dies. In either the final chapter or the epilogue.
Didn't they, after the Lord Ruler died, then they went to go find the ATM storage that was not there?
Yeah. Oh, I think also Sace might have mentioned it a few chapters ago, because I think they mentioned the whole youth thing.
Yeah, they did.
And then he's like, oh, but it's not very useful, because they're like, oh yeah, there's a few stuff that we do that Allomancers can't, so it's just like healing and speed and and age, but age isn't very useful because you'd have to spend like a year being like young, older in order to be like a year younger type thing.
Which is kind of cool, to be honest.
I'm gonna have to step away for a bit.
No.
Uh-oh.
I'm sorry.
Okay, bye. Alright. But yeah, no. I guess we can keep going on a rant then.
Well, I was gonna say I could finish this one little part because we've kind of already discussed it, which is basically just actually maybe I already said it. Oh yeah, so she sees that she notices two men next to the Lord Ruler, one wearing furs and smiling, and one in a nobleman's suit. When the level metal burns out, both men disappear. I think I asked what were your thoughts on the power. My question that was going to be after what were your thoughts on the power of the 11th metal was, what did you think of this room that this man that we learn is the Lord Ruler is sitting in?
I don't even remember it,
It was
honestly, and I
like
wish I
dressed up in
did.
like a bunch of like dyed furs with like fur rugs and had like weird like horns of beasts that Vin didn't recognize and like weird shoes and stuff.
I was thinking it was like a treasure room, like from the past kind of idea, but I will say before they stated kind of the whole like why he's attacking or not attacking, but calling the fucking fuck, what are they? Terrorist people, right? Is that what
Mm,
whatever Says is.
yeah.
Uh, he's culling them and making them, pretty much infertile. Uh, I did have the wonder, like, because if my theory was that he was Reshek, which comes out later, um, that why would he? Because he did state that they were like supposedly superior and blah blah blah. I mean, and it makes a lot more sense later on why he would have done it because they
Yeah.
explain it. But I think like it's just him clinging to the past. Like, I mean, I also wonder why would he have kept that book this entire time? The book that literally is of the person you hated.
Well, I think part of the reason for the book was he's like the only one who can read it because he's supposed to have gotten rid of the keepers and like it's only people who have knowledge of that ancient language that can read it.
But why keep it in the first place?
I don't
You know what I'm saying? Unless he's a hoarder, he's
know. It
sticking to the
seems like
past.
it.
I could understand, sure, shit, I can understand that. Like, okay, you want to cling to the past a little bit, sure, whatever. That would make sense when you kept the book. But like, you didn't like the guy. Why keep his diary? It's not a spoiler question, I'm sure, to
Mm.
ask this. No, I guess it actually is a spoiler because then it does answer my question. So never mind.
I kind of still want to know what your question is either way.
My question is, if there are 16 medals, are there going to be any that are like made up, or is it going to be in my medal list? But I feel like it's going to be some made up medals still, if there's. Even though he has so many he could still use. So I don't know.
I can't answer that right
I
now.
know, I know, because like it would confirm if I was right that there were 16 medals. Uh,
It's not even that. It's more so that you don't yet know why ATM is a made up metal. Once you learn why ATM is a made up metal, I can tell you
oh, okay.
if
So
there
there's a
are.
reason. There's a reason
Yes.
ATM is a made up medal, not
Yeah.
not just because he came up with it. It has a definitive reason. Hmm.
Yes. So
That's cool.
we will, by I believe the end of this trilogy, or by the end of the short stories in Arcanum Unbounded about Mistborn, know why it's a made-up metal, and I'll be able to tell you that if there are more metals in further eras, if they would be real or not, based on that information.
Okay, well, because you
But
said it'd be
I,
the end of this trilogy. You said it'd be the end of this trilogy. I
you
feel
find
like
out in the
I
trilogy.
already know by the end of the
I
trilogy if
believe
there's
you.
16 films.
No, you're not going to know if there's 16
Okay.
metals or not. I'm not going to say that. What I'm going to say is you will know. Hey, welcome back, Donors. You will know by the end of our little Mistborn trilogy and stuff why ATM's a made up metal, I believe.
Okay. Well,
And that will give some context about if there are more metals, if they would be made up or real,
hmm,
but not whether there are more. I will not tell you
okay.
that ever
I
because that
gotcha. I
could be
gotcha. I gotcha.
spoilers.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Because it does because it would make sense to because they have this whole like big thing about why basically like a big mystery of why Alamancers even exist now. So at the end of this book, they were like making comments about that. So
Yeah. So
it
yeah,
would
I'm
it would
gonna.
it could make sense on that, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
so yeah, you'll have to try and remember that. And we might come back to that at the end of the trilogy and everything.
I will write it down.
Hi,
Actually, in
darkness.
this list, I'm gonna put it in this list. I'm gonna put why is this made up? That's why is this made?
Send them a letter.
There, boom, done. All right, so now it's on my list.
All right. Okay, darkness.
Continue.
My question to Mythic that I asked quickly while you were gone was, what did you think of this room that the Lord Ruler was in with all the furs and everything? Did you have any thoughts about it?
The room full of furs.
Yeah, that she finds the
Yeah,
older
see,
version
you
of the
you
Lord
could
Ruler.
you couldn't remember it either. The room was kind of like a
It had
Oh,
like a fur
wow.
rug and furs on the walls, and like he had the fireplace, and he had like he had weird flat shoes apparently on a shelf.
So you're telling me this is relevant?
I'm just asking what you thought about it.
No, because when you ask shit, it's
Well,
annoying.
no,
I
wait,
know it's
whoa. Not to defend her, all right. But we have brought up numerous times about the room and its designing.
Yes.
So,
yeah, no,
like,
but the thing is, like, when she asks about stuff
no,
like
I have
this,
been
it has
bringing
nothing
up.
to do with
I think
the.
she's bringing it up. I think she's bringing it up because we did that to her in fucking Warframe. Because we
I make
did.
sure to bring up all of the stained glass stuff. We talk about the stained
Yep.
glass. I talk
Yep.
about the different keeps. We're talking about this room.
Yeah.
No, she's not that smart.
Okay. All right.
Rude.
I can't get that in depth, but sure.
I mean, like,
All right. So I'm gonna put these in order now.
maybe it's just little trophies from creating his army, you know?
Alright. So we move on to Ellen's point of view, as he sees his father speaking to captains and canal masters. Ellen asks what is going on, and his father ignores him at first, but eventually states that there is a Ska rebellion. At first, Ellen doesn't believe this, but then he remembers that Vin is a Ska, and he needs to stop thinking of the Ska like the rest of the nobles do. He also thinks of a book by Tamadre, which has predicted that the final empire would eventually end, and Ellen realizes that he is on the wrong side of the rebellion. Ellen's father then tells Ellen
Finally.
Helen's father then tells Ellen that they are leaving Luthadel so they don't get killed, and also because something happened at the pits recently that the Lord Ruler won't be happy about. So apparently the Lord Ruler might not know about the pits yet.
I wonder why. Probably because he doesn't give a shit about anything.
However, Ellen stands up to his father and states that he won't go with him. He says this isn't just about going against his father, he is going to stay. Straff eventually smiles, saying it'll be good for him to stay, and Ellen thinks that his father is expecting Ellen to either die to the rebellion or the Lord Ruler will go after him for whatever happened at the pits. Ellen also asks for some soldiers, and Straff states that Ellen can have most of them since he thinks he'll only be able to get one boat out. Once he leaves, Ellen goes to the captain and tells him to get his guards and the servants to march on to Keep Leckle. Eventually, even though they're enemies, he says that Keep Leckle is more defensible and they need to work together since they both have small armies. He also asks for 5 of the captain's best soldiers for an honor guard as he needs to go turn himself in. So what were your thoughts on Ellen staying during the rebellion and working with House Leckle?
I mean, did we really expect anything else from someone who barged in the middle of a fucking execution square?
Even aside from that, like, I mean, yeah, I agree with Darkness here. Like, do we expect much from this dumbass? No, not really. And just walked in front of like people killing other people, and he's like, they won't hurt me because I'm noble. Why would this person who has always been listening to our conversations and blah blah blah, why would they have any ill will against me?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, okay.
So we move back to Vin's point of view. She's woken up by water being thrown on her. She burns pewter and tin to get her senses back quicker. She's then hoisted up by an Inquisitor and has something shoved into her mouth, which she is forced to swallow and then burn. When she burns the metal, all of her other metal reserves vanish. She realizes this must be a 12th metal and that allomancy must not be as restricted as Kelsier had thought. So what do you think this 12th metal is?
Well, then there's definitely hella more metals,
Thank you.
That is the 13th metal, actually.
Yeah, I think so too. I also think that means there's a 14th metal which gives allomancy. I think there's a metal that takes allomancy, and there's one that gives allomancy.
But the thing is, would that be an alloy, or would that be? That wouldn't be an alloy though. That would be a whole separate metal, which means that there would have to be two other alloys for those metals.
I mean, it could be an alloy. It's just potentially not an alloy of atium. It might be an alloy of something else.
I mean,
well, no. What I'm saying is like if that is like a 13th metal separately on its own, it would have to have an alloy, and if what am I saying? If Mythic is correct that there's another metal that gives allomancy, which by the way I don't think it would be like an alloy of the one that takes it away.
Unless the one that takes it away is the one that's an alloy of the one that gives it.
True, but I still don't think it would work that way. But there would have to be an alloy for both of them, which gives even more reason for more metals. But
yeah, Like I said, it's just more my theory of the 16 metals.
Also, by the way, which is like
Actually, no. I'm sorry. I'm gonna up that. I think there's 18 metals.
I think there's 18.
Yeah, I think there's gonna be 18. Here's my basis on why that is.
just to keep it legal.
Well, no, because I'm hoping that I'm right. That atium, if there's a second thing for atium, it's gonna be a made up metal, and that atium and this other metal will be complete. Like what's the word? Like their own separate area.
Oh, so you think it's gonna be like the 16 in like those groups of
16
four
metals,
type thing?
and then alloy and whatever its next little, like, whether it be, I don't know if atium is an alloy or the main. So whatever its secondary would be their own like separate metals that do their thing, and then like all the other 16 that I would are the, like, what did they say the first time? They said 8.
Oh,
They said there's 8 basic metals and the 2 higher
Basic.
metals, which they called atium
Yeah, I was
and
gonna
gold.
say if there's 8 basic, why wouldn't there be 8 higher? To match.
Yeah, I think that's what the original, why I said originally for 16. But I feel like ATM is so far out from everything else.
That you think gold is like basically just another base metal, and there's gonna be
Yeah.
16 base metals and then 2 higher.
Yeah,
Mhm.
and I'm hoping that the base metals themselves are all real metals and like what we would know in life, kind of idea. And then ATM, it's being its own, made up metal, has a second made up metal, and those wouldn't be in the base metals. Is what I'm thinking.
I know. I'm sorry, but I know Sazed would fucking hate me.
Why?
Because I would use him as a fucking metal detector, like an allomantic metal detector.
Just start handing him metals and be like, try to store something in this one.
Yeah, I would literally just do that all fucking like every time I see him.
The problem is we don't know how you store stuff using ferrochemy. Like, you might need to know what you store in the metal in order to store it. So if he doesn't know what to store
at the same time.
I mean, yeah, because it's the same as ideas. Like, they don't know what they're getting when they consume it either. So
on that note, though, about the ferrochemy stuff, what do you think the 11th metal stores for ferrochemists that they don't know about?
Sexual prowess. No.
First off, for the ones right now, that wouldn't work. They don't have nothing there.
The ones in the breeding program do.
Yeah, but maybe they're being loaded with it. That's where he got it. That's where he got the metal from. He stole it from them.
The orgy fest.
Yeah. I honestly want them to show that, like,
the place.
Yeah, maybe not give like descript detail, but like I kind of want to see them go. Yeah, I kind of want to see them go there, even if it's just to liberate them. Mm-hmm. I want to see them go there at least.
Want to go to the breeding ground,
and they can give you an explanation of how they're doing it.
That's what I was thinking. Like, I literally am so fucking curious about that.
Yeah, I'm just curious on how they're forcing them to basically copulate. But like how, like, what are they doing? Like, is it like animal, like what we do for animals, or are they just like thrown in a room and go, all right, well, if you don't, you die. If you do, okay, cool.
You're like shaking and like doing the deed and shit, like all scared and shit.
Like, I mean, are we strapping her down, and she's letting guys come in one after another?
We're gonna move on. We're gonna move on. This.
But I did have a question. Have we gotten what the name, like Pewter is Thug, all like those, the names of those?
I don't think we have for everything. All of them yet. We have Thug, Soother, Rider, Coin Shot.
Thug.
I don't think you have what I know what the name for iron pulling is, but I don't think you guys have that.
Okay.
I read it.
Did you?
I think so.
Oh, does it say in the back of the book? It might say.
It's the fucking. It sounds like some dumb shit where you're hanging. Oh, what's it called?
Oh, it does say in the back of the book. The Ars Arcanum. So yeah, iron pulling is Lurcher.
There you go.
Lurch.
Right,
so
can you just give me them all so I can put
it
on? I literally sent you.
I think it's in there. Yeah.
Oh, did you?
If you look.
Oh, did you?
Darkness sent pictures of the Ars Arcanum for you. If you scroll up above all the pictures of the Lord Ruler and stuff.
Okay. I didn't see that. Thank you.
Yeah, so there's Lurcher, Coinshot, Tin Eye, Thug, Rider, Soother, Smoker, Seeker. It does not have gold or atium in it, though.
I cannot see that picture whatsoever. Oh my god.
Oh yeah, that's really small, Darkness.
Which one?
I just put it into my thing, but there we go. All right, thank you. I'll put that on my list. All right, keep going. Sorry.
But yeah, so we have all the basic 8 names.
Mhm.
But yeah, okay. So Vin then feels the Lord Ruler soothing, although less strong than when he had been fighting Kelsier. She at first begins to fall to the depression, but then forces herself to ignore it. She glances around the room, noting that she's in a cage with no furniture and that there are 2 other cages in the room. She also notes that she was stripped to her undergarments, likely to check her for metals. After searching for any metal near her and coming up empty, she begins thinking back on what had happened. She thinks about the 11th metal and how it felt like gold when she burned it, which is where we learn that, yes, this is the alloy of gold. She also notes that she had felt that gold and atium were a strange pair, as usually each metal was an alloy of their pair. The 11th metal must be an alloy of gold, and the reason it wasn't found previously was because gold and atium were too expensive to try and experiment and make alloys out of. So do you? I think we've kind of already discussed this, but my question here was: do you think there's an alloy of atium, or is it just completely special?
Yes, and before you stated the fact that because I apparently glossed right over the fact that he was using atium to store his age. Before that when they went and looked at the atium storage and saw nothing in it, I was like, yeah, because he burned it all and made it this other metal, whatever the other one is.
I mean, he still could have done that with some of it, but yeah, he was specifically burning atium for youth.
I need a Feruchemy Ars Arcanum.
I agree, right? Hopefully that's in one of these other books.
What does the second book have?
Does it have my other 8?
I need to know if
the second book does have in their Ars Arcanum both the allomantic and ferrochemical power.
Give me.
Awesome. Can we look
for
at
each
it
iron, for each metal.
Can we look at it beforehand?
You cannot, because it includes
more metals.
It might include other metal.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
I get answers. I got answers. Yay. Indirectly getting answers.
It might just be right midnight. It might just be a metal we don't know how Feruchemy takes that we already know.
So Vin then thinks that due to the 11th metal being an alloy of gold, the metal must have shown her what the Lord Ruler could have been, and thinks that this information is useless. The 2 Inquisitors then show up and open up her cage. The first Inquisitor grabs her and drags her along, and then spits at the second Inquisitor right on his eye spike as she passes him. Damn. I want to believe that this Inquisitor is Marsh, but I don't think it is. But I feel like that'd be really funny. She spat on Marsh's eye spike.
I was kind of hoping it was her brother, so until we learn later.
Yeah. So after going through Critic Shaw, they eventually go up one of the spires, and they reach the room with the Lord Ruler. Finn can't help but be amazed as she sees that the room has one large window going all around with trails of colorful mist stained into the glass. So what did you think of the Lord Ruler's throne room?
Kind of cold.
Kind of basic bitch,
Yeah.
So the younger version of the Lord Ruler sits on an elevated throne in the room. Also in the room is a group of obligators and 7 Inquisitors, not including the 2 that had brought her up here. So there's 9 Inquisitors in total. Finn then recognizes her father as he states that he doesn't know why Vin has been brought here, causing her to realize he doesn't know about her. Tavidian tries to state that there are more pressing matters, but the Lord Ruler says he doesn't care about the rebellion and that it's good for the nobles to be purged every century or so. He also mentions that if the Ska come to Critic Shaw, he'll just deal with them and not to speak more on the matter. The Inquisitor then holds Finn, who we learn is named Carr, says that the Inquisitors should take over leadership of the ministry because the obligators are...
Vroom vroom.
Because the obligators
every time they said car in the book, all I could think of was vroom vroom. Like, I want to ride that man like a car.
Oh God.
Right on his face as I slide him down the staircase.
Okay. So Carr says the obligators are corrupted, and Tavidian says that this is often spoken, but there's never any proof. But Carr says he has proof this time. He then asks Tavidian if he knows Vin, which Tavidian says he does not, and then he asks Vin if she knows who her father is. Vin lies, which causes the Lord Ruler to perk up, as he apparently can tell who is lying because of how well trained he is in allomancy.
Metal.
Literally. Carr goes on to say that at least one of Vin's parents must be from a very pure bloodline in order for her to be a Mistborn. But if she was a pure noble, she wouldn't have been abandoned to the streets. The Lord Ruler approaches Vin and takes her face and forces her to look up at him. As she looks into his eyes, she can sense his godlike power, and she feels that he could easily kill everyone in the city and that Kelsier had made a terrible mistake. So what do you think
She
of
did
Vin?
too.
So what do you think of this feeling Vin got when looking into the Lord Ruler's eyes?
Sounds pretty good. Pretty much true.
It's like that aura thing he does, right? The what's it called?
Oh, his
Question aura?
soothing? I'm
Yeah.
not sure if it's his soothing, because she's saying like just looking into his eyes, she can like feel that he's like got something beyond. Like she's like, oh, he is a god.
He is a god, so
Mhm.
it just makes me believe that the whatever the fuck I can't even think of what the fuck it was called.
The Well of Ascension?
Thank you. The
I
Will
was
of
thinking that.
Ascension. Yeah, the Will of Ascension is just a fucking Lazarus pit. Go ahead.
No, continue. No, I was just gonna ask you to explain what that means, cause
Okay. So the best way I could explain it is, do you know Batman, like DC Batman?
Kind
Yeah.
of.
Okay. You know that he was trained by a man named Ra's al Ghul.
yeah,
Ra's al Ghul's main thing was that he would go into this water that would make him forever youthful.
hmm it would
But
rebirth and stuff. Yeah,
yeah,
I know.
yeah, it's like Phoenix Rebirth.
Mhm.
But like he would be able to do that. It would also somehow give him supernatural strength and all this other shit. And so, to me, what I think is this Well of Ascension could be like you walk into it and you come out and you have allomancy. Pretty much is what my whole theory is on where allomancy came from. And then that became a bred thing, like because he would be like, let's say he's the Adam, right? And then he finds a woman, she becomes the Eve, and then they create a child. That child has allomancy. It continues to pass down the line.
So you think all the nobles are technically bred from him and not
Yes.
he gifted them the power like the stories say?
Yes, 100%.
Okay.
I think it's just a big gene pool thing.
So the Lord Ruler then prompts Vin for who her father is, and she eventually states that her brother had told her that the High Preland was her father. She cries, but as the Lord Ruler looks away, she can't remember why she had started to cry. The Lord
Another
Ruler
power.
The Lord Ruler then turns to Davidian and asks if he ever bedded a Ska woman. Davidian says he has them all killed, but the Lord Ruler notes that he is uncertain, and Davidian says that one may have gotten away, but he got to her eventually. He then reveals when prompted that she had given birth. The Lord Ruler sighs and tells the Inquisitors to have him. He's just like so disappointed. He's like a disappointed dad. He's like, really? You let her give birth to the child? Oh my gosh.
No, first off, he sounds like a disappointed dad at this point, but he sounds so much more like a disappointed dad when Marsh comes in and just straight up fucking fights him. And he's like, I gave you everything. Literally everything. And you were defying
He goes from
me.
disappointed dad to like abusive dad.
Yeah, I'm just like, oh man, this guy's going through such fucking emotions right
now. The Inquisitors gleefully kill Davidian, and I think they like stab him like repeatedly even after he's dead.
Mm-hmm.
Which I found awesome, by the way.
They're just like going at it. They're like, this is the best thing ever.
And then when the others back up, I was laughing my ass off.
3 Inquisitors, though, do not join in, including Carr and the one holding Vin. Another stays back as well, although Vin doesn't know why. And looking back, I am 99% sure this is Marsh. This 3rd Inquisitor that's not joining in on killing Davidian.
Yeah, probably.
I'm pretty sure it's like fairly well implied based on what we know from later.
Honestly, I did not remember that, but I mean, like, I listened to this whole thing while I was driving, so
Yeah.
so I did not remember there being a person that did not join in on the killing of Tavidian. It just never, crossed my mind.
So Marsh is not all in on the fucking bloodshed. He's like,
Nope.
yeah, I'm not gonna go kill this guy and have fun
I'm just
stabbing
not
people.
gonna do this. You know?
Unless he is, and that other person's like, that was supposed to be me, you know.
Oh
There's only room for 6 Inquisitors around this guy. I'm so disappointed.
Yeah.
I'll just stand here. Maybe they'll walk away and he'll still be alive. I can do something.
He'll not be like ground beef, and I'll actually have something to stab.
And then you find out later he's not, and he's like, "Oh no, I missed my chance."
So the Road Ruler then says that Carr will have his way, and the Inquisitors will be in charge. He also says to get rid of Vin, but Carr asks if he can question Vin about the other Mistings and her crew first. The Lord Ruler just says that he can, as it's his job.
Okay, see, this is the part right here that I was like, all right, first off, that's not how the world works. Okay, you already asked your daddy over here to not let you not kill her. And then, oh, well, we find out that she's a child of this person, and he's just going to be like, yeah, okay, whatever, I don't care. Like, you're setting this whole thing up for failure. I understand on the Lord Ruler side of it, because he believes he's too strong, he would never die. But, like, they're obviously not, the Inquisitors are obviously not fucking impenetrable. We figured that out now. Like, you should probably murder this woman immediately.
He's like,
I'm sorry. Like, I mean, I know the story-wise, it wouldn't work out too well, but like, you 100% should just have murdered her.
He needs
right
to go
then.
mourn the fact that his favorite child betrayed him.
Yeah. My favorite child, it betrayed me.
Now he has a granddaughter when he's not supposed to.
Yeah, right. Usually people would be pretty happy about that.
No grandchildren.
The only reason he's upset is because he feels old. He feels old now.
Yeah.
That's why he gets everyone to kill the children.
Yeah.
I cannot feel old, even though I make myself young constantly.
All right.
Not allowed to be old.
The epigraph for chapter 37 is there anything more beautiful than the sun? I often watch it rise,
Yes.
for my restless sleep usually awakens me before dawn. Each
There's
time I
definitely
see
things more beautiful than the sun.
Each time I see its calm yellow light peeking above the horizon, I grow a little more determined, a little more hopeful. In a way, is it the thing? I can't speak. It is the thing that has kept me going all this time. I didn't really have much of a question for this one. Did you guys have any thoughts on this epigraph?
I mean, I think I expressed my only real thought on this epigraph, so.
Yeah.
Just kind of the hero of ages, just kind of like join.
Being emo
mourning.
as fuck, yeah. Mm-hmm. Yep. Mm-hmm.
So we start this chapter with Dockson's point of view. As he scribbles notes on the map that Kelsier had left, a messenger runs in and Dockson asks about Vin, but the man says she hadn't left Critic Shaw, and some say that Vin had been taken to the dungeons. Dockson asks if the man could get her out, as he's one of the men Vin had convinced to leave guarding the door. But Goradel, which is the man's name, says that an Inquisitor was taking her and he wouldn't be able to do anything. Were you surprised to get Dockson's point of view?
No, not really.
I figured everyone would have a point of view.
Yeah, I'm not surprised to get anybody's point of view anymore, especially since we get a fucking Lord Ruler's fucking point of view at one point.
I don't think we do get a Lord Ruler point of view.
I said like.
Oh. So Hamden arrives.
My son, I gave you everything.
Hamden arrives saying that Keep Ilario has fallen, but that Keep Lekel was still standing. Dockson notes that they'll likely need to go to the palace next, but they probably won't be there in time to save Vin.
Oh, I'm sorry. It wasn't the Lord Ruler that I was talking about. It was Carr. We get a Carr.
Yeah, we get a Carr point of view.
Yeah, that's the one I was thinking of.
But they probably won't be there in time to save Vin, and she'll have to look after herself. Hamden goes to get a new sword, and Dockson sees a group pulling along a prisoner with a sack over his head. The men state that the prisoner had offered them gold to bring him to Dockson, and reveal that it's Ellen Venture. Dockson recognizes him, but of course Ellen doesn't recognize Dockson. Ellen then says he wants the truth, that they leave the nobles alone, and he can convince the nobles not to attack as well. Dockson states that he wants the nobles to fall, but Ellen insists that he has studied these things, and that once the rebellion begins to die down, they'll turn on each other, and that they need to keep control of their armies. Dockson finally says they'll consider it when Ellen notices Ham. Ellen eagerly asks about Vin, and Dockson tells Ellen that she's likely in the Lord Ruler's dungeons at the moment if she's even still alive. So what did you think about Ellen turning himself over to the rebellion and trying to make a truce?
He said he was going to do that.
Well, he said he was going to turn himself in, but yeah.
This dude is like everywhere he's not supposed to be. He's like, calm the fuck down.
I mean, future king and all that. Yeah.
So we switch back to Vin's point of view as she's thrown back into her cell. Carr mentions that Bendel, who is likely the Inquisitor that Kelsier killed, would have been happy to know he had been right about Tavinian fathering a half-breed. Carr also mentions Vin's brother, and Vin asks if he sold her out, but Carr says that Reen had actually lied and said that Vin had died years ago to starvation, even through a lot of torture. A group of guards then bring in a naked and bleeding Sazed and put him in the cell next to Vin. Vin notices that Sazed has only a scar where his manhood should have been.
I like that they actually give you that imagery though. It
gave me a sense of satisfaction knowing what the fuck was happening.
Yeah, because I assumed when he's like, oh, we're all eunuchs, I'm like, okay, well, were you born a eunuch or were you made a eunuch? Like, there's a difference.
Yeah, no, they were made. They
were definitely made into being eunuchs. Which
also apparently, when I was reading the notes for this, Jesus had thought they had just been like neutered, like their balls had just been chopped off, and I'm like, no, it says the whole thing's gone.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's why when I first heard it, I was like, is it like all gone or is it
They're Barbie dolls.
And then like,
they're
why
Ken
would you
dolls.
say that?
They're
Ken
Ken
dolls,
dolls.
yeah.
Why?
Well, no, that's literally the okay. That's the actual accurate term. A Kendall.
My only thought process at that point, it was like fucking what 2, 3 a.m.
Yeah.
Was how the fuck does he, like
P.
Yeah.
yeah.
That was your only
there's still a
thought
urethra
was
hole.
how he pees.
I'm sorry, what'd you say?
There's
So
a
your
urethra
only
hole.
yeah.
Your urethra goes
No,
not just
no.
through your
First off,
dick, but into your body.
I think Say's has a cloaca. All right.
Hold on,
Okay.
Midnight. Say that again.
Urethra?
No, like the last part.
Why?
Hole.
Just say it
Urethra hole?
again.
I'm not. I don't
A
No,
trust.
say it
urethra?
again.
I
Say it
don't
again,
trust
come on.
what you're trying to do here. I'm not
A
doing this.
urethra hole? Is that what you're talking
No,
about?
she was trying to explain the process to me. Explain the process. Come on.
They can still pee out of it.
Yeah. Have you never seen an animal with a urethra hole?
Oh my god.
But anyways.
I know you're
So
trying to trap her into something, but like
Yeah.
you're honestly.
I was not. She genuinely said something different, and she just didn't.
Oh,
respond.
I was saying that like yeah, like your urethra doesn't just go through like your dick or something. Like it goes into your body, so there would still be a hole even if you chop the whole dick off.
Flex tape.
Oh my goodness.
Anyways, so were you surprised that Reen never actually betrayed Vin in the
Yes, because I thought he was alive, but yes.
What do you think, Darkness, about the fact that Reen never sold her out?
I didn't care.
Okay.
I mean,
No,
it's valid. Like
my genuine confusion was like, okay, he's dead. Why are you bringing him up right now? Like,
well, I mean, my genuine confusion is why she still freaking has his voice in her head even after this. So,
because trauma,
but like, you know he's dead. Just stop letting him dictate your life.
Well, she knows he's dead now. She wasn't sure before.
Well, yeah, but then later on in this series, or in this book, she still listens to this boy. I'm like, he's dead. Make your own damn decisions, girl.
So Kara then tells Vin that he's going to torture Sazed in front of Vin to get her to speak, but first he needs to go get former leadership of the Ministry. Once gone, Vin kneels in her cage next to Sazed's cage, and is surprised that Sazed seems fairly confident while speaking. Vin says he shouldn't have followed her, but he says he was put in charge of her by Kelsier and that he needed them to bring him to her.
Yep. And as soon as he said that, I was like, I already know what this man did. I was like, I 100% know you swallowed something. I thought at first I didn't think what he was gonna do with it. I thought, oh, he swallowed it. He's gonna regurgitate it back up, and then she's gonna use it as a metal. That was my first thought. I was like, okay, cool. He smuggled metal into here. But then it was so much better the way he actually did use it. So
okay, but I know y'all gonna. I don't even know what you guys are gonna think about this, but
you thought he shoved it up his ass?
Yeah, I thought he shoved it up his ass.
Oh my gosh, how did I know you were gonna go there?
I mean, honestly, the thought had also crossed my mind that could have been a way to do it because he was naked. The only reason I would have thought that was because he was naked. Like at first, I was like, if they threw him in like, is what do they call it in these books? God damn it! If they threw him in his underwear,
Oh, in the undergarments.
Yeah, maybe he hid it there somehow. But like, he was naked. I was like, okay, so he either swallowed it or he freaking stuffed it up his ass.
No, because it's gonna go through there eventually.
Yeah. Pretty much.
Yeah.
Hopefully, it's a tiny enough bead that when it comes out, it's not painful.
Yeah.
I mean,
well, I'm assuming it's like one of his rings or something. He probably just swallowed quickly and like.
Oh my god.
Suddenly.
It'll come out.
Either an earring or a ring, but I feel like an earring would be more dangerous because it could have like a pointed end. It could like pierce your intestines.
Yeah, but like a ring could also get stuck inside.
Yeah,
it'll be fine.
Oh god, and they don't have any like.
Depends how much you prepared for this.
They don't have any medical shit to like go inside somebody's body and take out a fucking. Oh god. Oh. It's not looking good. It's not looking good for Sayes. Oh no.
Alright.
If he dies like of an intestine,
like next book is just like Sayes is dead. Like we're not gonna explain it. He's just dead. God. I don't think Sanderson thought enough about that. So.
Alright, so where was I? Sayes then grows weak for a moment before growing strong and ripping free of his bindings and then bending the bars of the cages between them open. Vin asks how he is using his powers without metal, and he says he took a note from her and swallowed some. Vin eagerly hugs him. Multiple rings. Yeah, hopefully he just hopefully he just took some like copper or not copper. I don't know
beads.
what was
Just some fucking beads, man.
Yeah, some beads or something. I don't remember what.
Yeah, like something solid.
Pewter.
Something solid that like. You
Oh
could
god,
pass
pewter is
through
also the
easily.
one that's poisonous.
Yes.
Oh no! Oh no, Sazed.
This man is gonna die.
Because he had to use pewter.
Oh my god.
He needs to like puke. He needs to like upset
needs
his
to
stomach real
Well,
bad.
first off, if it's in his stomach, you're not puking that up if it's
Oh,
already
God.
down there.
Yeah, especially after that whole like where he's walking everywhere helping her. No, that's just like gone and down like all the way.
Yeah, like
Oh no,
this man,
Sazed.
he's gonna be in pain if not dead.
God.
Like Jesus Christ.
I didn't even think about the fact that it's pewter, the one they keep saying is like the most poisonous because it has lead in it.
I mean, maybe he gets out and immediately uses the health thing. I don't know. Like,
oh yeah, that's
Jesus.
true. He can probably use health too. If he can go find his rings and stuff, he can use health to like keep him from dying.
Yeah. All right. Well, we're gonna get to the next part that I have a slight rant on here real soon. So.
So they. Sazed bursts open the door of his cage and says they need to leave quickly. The two guards who had brought in Sazed arrive and stare at him in shock before dashing away and crying for help. Sazed tells Vin his strength won't last for long, since his bit of metal is not very large and his muscles are already starting to shrink. What did you think of Sazed's plan to break Vin out?
Great idea. I mean, it would have been just as good to fucking puke up the metal and give it to her, but sure.
Well, but he might not have known how long he was going to be away. Again, like maybe it was going to be the whole thing that like he couldn't puke it up after a while.
Yeah, true. But
what if they just replace teeth with metal stuff?
well, they did state the fact that like if it's attached, it doesn't really work like that. So I mean, it does for ferrochemists, but like I feel like they just rip it out of him.
Ooh.
Yeah. Yeah, realize how painful that would be. I mean, I realized how painful that was when she straight up said, "I ripped the bracelets out of him." I was like,
Wait, I just remembered something. I was like so out of it because I was sleepy, right? And when she got thrown into the cell, I was like, okay. And then she was like, there's so much metal here I can't use, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
And in my brain, I was like, I would have been slobbering all over those bars trying to fucking find a piece of metal.
I mean, all right. First off, she could 100%, if they were iron bars or iron anything, she could probably have filed it off with her teeth.
That's what I was saying. Like, I at some point, I even thought of like breaking my own teeth trying to fucking chip some like.
I would 100%. You're in that situation. I would 100% have already been doing that. The moment they left me
throw
in there.
Sazed in it, she's just like she's just like her mouth around one of the bars, just staring at them.
Yeah, like I mean, you could 100% chip off a piece of like iron or whatever. You know, I don't know how well it would help you, but like you could.
I mean, you can pull maybe the keys to the cell to you from the guards.
Yeah. I mean, they don't seem to be very good allomancers, so you know.
Because iron is the pulling one, not the pushing one.
So.
Anyway, so as they head out, Vin finds a cloak and hands it to Sazed, who thanks her because he's fucking naked, and she's like, "I feel bad for you." She then sees a room with bloodstained chests and torture instruments before noticing a group of guards coming down the hallway. Sazed tells her to run, his strength already depleted, but Vin remembers Kelsia's words about learning about friendship and knows she can't leave Sazed. Vin grabs some of the knives and goes to attack the men, but there are too many, and after slicing a few, one hits her with a quarterstaff and knocks her to the ground. She notices Sazed trying to store more strength, but knows he won't have enough time. Suddenly Elend appears, calling out to her. He has 6 men with him, 5 Venture guards, and one of the men that had been guarding Critic Shaw earlier. Both Elend and Sazed tell Vin she has to leave, but Vin doesn't want to leave Elend. Sazed begins to pull her away when Vin notices a bit of her miscloak hanging out of one of the trunks. So, again, were you expecting Elend to suddenly show up everywhere?
No, I mean, yeah, kind of. I expected Elend to show up when they were down and out. But the rant I have is, yes, you just happen to walk up and see your clothes with the metal in it just sitting there in a... Like, come on. Like, some realism here, please. Like, I can understand the whole Elend bursting in to save his, future fucking wife. Like, I understand that part. Makes a lot more sense.
I feel like it might have been a little bit more realistic if, like, before he left to go save Vin, Dachshund was like, Here, take these vials of
Yes.
metals.
100%. Here's a spare mist cloak and a vials of
She
metals.
doesn't
If you
really even
find
need the
her,
mist cloak.
give them.
Just give her the
No.
metals.
But like, I'm saying, if you wanted to give her back her mist cloak and metals, like, way easier to just do it that way. Instead
Yeah.
of unrealistically being like, oh, she just happens to see it in a fucking chest over here in the corner of her eye. I was like, that shit that's irritates me.
Yeah, I do agree that it could have been, it would have been better if Ellen
I
had brought her some metals instead.
I hate it because it's like thinking about it in a D&D concept. Like, you're railroading your party. You're just like, all right, here you go. Just give you whatever you need. Like, like, don't make it that
Like, it
easy.
almost makes sense if it was like a small place, but they're in like Shaw, which is gigantic. Like, there's so
Yep.
many places they could have put their stuff.
Yeah, like, or I mean, there. And then the other thing is, why do you even still have their stuff? You're gonna kill her.
Yeah.
Well, I don't think
Why
it's
did you keep it?
been long. I don't know how long. Oh, I guess she was unconscious for a bit. I was gonna say because I didn't know
I
how
mean,
long it
I
had
mean,
actually been.
I did think about that too. The fact that like they have to undress her,
Yeah, like
like
they had to go
these
through all of her stuff and
yeah,
everything.
yeah. They didn't find the medals. Like, come on.
Well, they did. I just
Yeah.
don't. You think they would have like gotten rid of them or something, or drank them
Yes.
themselves or something.
Yeah. Like, I mean, now here's the thing, right? I thought I think when they originally threw her in the cell, I was originally thinking to myself, first off, who undressed her and did all that shit? Because like if it was one of the not the what are they God what are the other ones called?
Obligators?
Obligated.
Yeah, if it was like an obligator, right? Like because they would be more humanized. They're not monsters like these other fuckers are. Like if they undressed her, that's human. Like the human idea of like, okay, I could see this young girl naked, kind of idea. But the other guys, with the nails in their freaking face, the other thought I had is, okay, well, if they did it, how did they even know where her clothes were? None of the things metal on her.
Well, they
I
do
think they.
explain that later.
I mean, but they do, but like cloth doesn't like. I don't feel like any of my cloth has metal in it, even hint traces of it. Like I understand the way that they explained it. Like everything has hint of metal in it, so we get the world through the fucking lines. But like to me, it seems more like you would get the outline of people and shit like that, because you have shit going through your blood and all that stuff. Like it's not like these guys are wearing clothes, like like they're changing outfits every day or anything. They wear the same shit
Wait.
except one.
Then I don't know how. Like, okay, so they can't see or they can see.
They can see, but they see it in a different way. But like the way they explained it later was that like everything has trace metals in it.
So I just Googled it. There are metals such as iron and aluminum detected in various textile fabrics such as cotton, acrylic, polyester, nylon, viscose, and polypropylene. So that includes cotton. So there are metals in cotton.
Interesting. Okay, so maybe they did undress her then. I can see. I'd honestly, and it sounds terrible, but I'd rather those monsters have undressed her than like a normal human being.
I think the Inquisitors probably did because they were the ones who grabbed her and brought her there, and also her clothing within the Inquisitor torture chamber.
Yeah, that's true.
So I think it was probably the Inquisitors that undressed her.
Now it even makes me more curious of why they didn't just destroy her fucking shit.
Well, because they did give her that medal that gets rid of all her metal, so they probably were like, she's not going to be an issue. Like, we can easily overpower her without her medals.
But like, you don't need the clothes. She's going to die.
Well, they took the clothes off her because they were searching for any medals she had on her, and then they just kind of, I think, threw it all in everything in like this one trunk, and like, we'll deal with it later, and threw her in the cage.
So many things that fucked up. Like you had two chances to kill this woman, and you fucked both of them.
Anyway, so Vin pulls free as Sazed and runs to the trunk, opening it. She rummages inside until she finds a vial of metals. Ellen's men are struggling, and Sazed mentions that he had been wrong about Ellen, and he apologizes. Vin then drinks the metals, and she flies up over Ellen's head and blasts the soldiers into the walls with a steel push. One soldier tries to attack.
I mean, he wasn't wrong about Ellen, but sure.
One soldier tries to attack her, and she punches him in the face and snaps his head around. She then kills the soldier attacking Ellen. The other soldiers begin to run, and Vin pushed more men into the walls and also uses the metal cap of one of the soldiers to hit him and shove him down into the other men. Finn then turns and hugs Ellen tightly and begins repeating that he came back. Ellen is a bit surprised and says he did, and that she didn't tell him she was a Mistborn. He explains that Dockson told him where she was and that Gordell helped him get in to find her. He also asks her to put on some clothing as it's very distracting, and that she's in her garments. Finn repeats that he came back and says no one has ever come back before, which causes Ellen to frown. So did you like Finn and Ellen's little reunion here?
Yeah, and then it got fucking screwed up later. When this bitch didn't even fucking tell somebody her fucking feelings.
I hated the fact that she said nobody has ever come back.
Why?
That's true, though.
Because did Say's not come back?
Say's never comes back. What are you talking about?
He literally came back to help her. And she says that, like, well, literally not even with him, like, 5 feet away.
Well, I think she means more in the sense that, like, Ellen kind of broke things off from her and said he wasn't going to see her again, whereas Say's and her are still part of the crew. Like, him coming back and forth as part of the crew still isn't something. I think if he had, like, left saying, I'm leaving the crew, and then Say's had come back, she would have been like, oh my god, Say's, you came back. But, like, considering they were still part of the crew.
Ellen,
I don't know.
Ellen practically broke up with her.
I would have thought about it like, okay, the rest of the group is like busy doing their own shit. Like, you know, they're all fighting for their lives. Nobody's gonna come for me.
Well, she also did know that Sage wasn't given any mission just like her. Well, I mean, she got given a separate mission in her like little pouch, but on the map, Sage wasn't given any instructions.
I don't know. It's just a little hypocritical. But,
yeah, I agree. I agree with you on that. 100% Darkness. But I also see. I feel like it was the other way around. I think she's not saying like, oh, no one's never ever come back. She's saying no one's ever come back after they told me they were leaving me.
Yeah.
And Say's has never said, I'm leaving you. He's actually said the opposite. Numerous times.
He's constantly said, hey, I'll be right back. Even though he doesn't always come right back.
I mean, you know.
He tries his best sometimes.
He does. He tries his best all the time. What are you talking about?
Except for that one time he was hanging out at the clubhouse with Kelsier. And...
he tried his best even then.
Anyway, so Say's then comes over with Finn's clothing and says they need to leave. Finn gets dressed and says Say should take Ellen. She also puts her mother's earring back on, and she says she needs to go fight the Lord Ruler. Like, Kelsier started this, but her job is to finish it.
You just fucking lost. Why? You just lost. Take some time.
That right there too also triggered me. Like,
like, Jesus Christ, woman. You literally just break out of prison, and you're like, you know what? I gotta go fight the guy who just put me here.
Yeah.
Come on.
So Ellen is upset by this, and Vin goes on asking if he knows where the A-Team is, and that the new government will need it. Sayson says that he fears Vin is right, and that he will come back once he has gotten Ellen to safety. Before Vin leaves, she says she thinks she knows how to kill the Lord Ruler. So before you read on, what did you think Vin's plan here was, if you didn't even think of it?
Okay, first off, I had the exact idea she did.
Okay.
Okay, like, literally, when they were in the room the first time, and it appeared, I was like, okay, it's like gold, but something's got to be different because it's not gold. So maybe if you attack the other one, it'll, kill him somehow. Maybe that's how he stays immortal, is what I originally thought, because I had no idea about the age fucking thing. Mm-hmm. I was like, maybe he stays immortal because he's continuously going back into his past self. So if you can see it and you can stab it, then maybe it'll die and then it'll kill him with it. That would be great, because especially the whole like spear thing, I was like, something's weird here. Like, maybe it's not the actual him. He's putting a front, like a illusion out there. And so I was like, okay, so you have to. I mean, it also comes from the whole. I watch anime, and like in Demon Slayer, they have a demon that has like multiple personalities. Each one's a different like personality, and they have to kill all of them at the same time for the total thing to die. Or they just keep coming back. Kind of the thought I had, like, you have to murder both these two people, and then obviously the one you see, the old man, all at the same time they die. That's how you kill the Lord Ruler. But when she said, I'm going back, and I was like, okay, she's gonna go do this. Like, this is what my thought. She's gonna go in there, she's gonna use that metal, she's gonna try to stab him. And I was thinking it was gonna work, but it wasn't gonna work enough. Kind of idea, like, oh yeah, she hits it, but he's too strong or something. I was just like, it's a stupid idea. You should definitely test it on somebody else first. Use it and like see somebody else that has their past self and try to nick them, like just hurt them in general, punch it or something.
Yeah, just like punch or like stab him in like the arm.
Like something non-lethal.
It kind of bothered me that like
do some fucking planing.
There seemed to be no like past self to anyone else that was around. And I'm just like, okay.
Yeah. Oh yeah, you mean when she used it? Yeah, originally I was like, I definitely thought the same thing. I was like, so why is there no past self to like the fucking Inquisitors and shit?
Yeah.
I think it's just because she's like not focused on them. I'm not really sure.
Excuses. No. Like, girl, look around.
Like, I mean, you're trying to learn what this metal does, so yeah, you should probably look around and figure out what this metal is doing. But yeah, I pretty much called what it was originally because like I thought, why don't you do that when she originally did it? So I was like, why didn't you just fucking throw a knife at it or something?
What did you think, Darkness? What did you think her plan
I don't know.
was?
That whole time I was kind of shitting on her and like Kelsey because the way you guys just fucking tested that shit, like, no.
Yeah, like there's so many ways to do that. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh my god, there's so many ways
Like,
to have tested this before you put it all out there into practice.
even if it's just like him and Vin in the same room, like, what if it works out there?
Yeah, like damn, there's so many ways he could have done. They could have done this differently.
By the way, I don't remember. Did he give some to Vin to try out?
The 11th
Yeah,
medal?
when he died, after he died, he
Yeah,
gave her
no,
the
only
whole
in the
bar.
pouch.
No,
He never gave
before
some.
he died.
No, he never gave
Yeah.
any.
So you're telling me you gave her the mission to use your medal after you die, when you didn't even try to see if she had a different reaction to you before you died?
I mean, there's a lot of things that Kelsier did that I'm confused about, like why he would do that in that way. But yeah, that's definitely one of them too. Like, you put her in the plan if you're gonna if your whole idea is to die. Give her some context on like the plan. Maybe don't tell her you're gonna die, but at least be like, hey, I'm gonna teach you how to use this in case I die.
Right.
In case I go in here and I get murdered by something, maybe you have some baseline context here. You know, and then the other part of like, why did you not give her a note to tell her what she is specifically supposed to do? Like, straight up. You tell everybody else, like, hey, we need you to do this. But the person that you pretty much are hinging your entire base plan on, you don't tell. Nothing. Just let her figure it out. So dumb.
All right.
Anyway,
We're on chapter 38, our second to last epigraph, which is, such are my fears as I scribble with an ice-crusted pen on the eve before the world is reborn. Rashek watches, hating me. The cavern
Who?
lies above, pulsing. My fingers quiver, not from the cold. Tomorrow it will end. So do you think this is like right before Rashek kills him, basically? Because Rashek's apparently watching him the night before.
probably murdered him in his sleep.
He might have, yeah.
I mean,
And then he ate his bone.
No,
And
I
then
don't think he looks like. I honestly don't think he looks like him. So I think he looks like himself.
No, he ate his bones and then he transformed back.
Oh.
Then he ate his own bones.
Yeah, and then he's eating everyone's.
Well, I mean,
And
to
then-
do that, you have to not have bones in the first place. Because
I
that's,
would've-
they have
I
no
would've-
bones.
I would have named Miss Ray's boners.
Oh my
Great.
god! Of course you would have.
Oh my god.
It would have been amazing. It would have been the best name ever.
So we start this POV with Vin as she pushes up into the air outside of Critic Shaw, going up the spires until she sees the throne room spire. She can feel the Lord Ruler still inside and wonders if she can wait until some of the Inquisitors are gone before going in. She also thinks about how Kelsier thought the 11th medal was the key. She has a plan and knows that she needs it to work. Her whole thing is like, oh, Kelsier was so sure this medal was gonna work.
Yep. I was like, well, girl, you're hinging all your shit on these dead people.
Because imagine this medal, the 11th medal shit, was actually like the one that takes away the yellow magic powers.
Oh my god. Imagine.
I feel like though, if it was, they would have already known. Cause
Yeah, they would have felt it.
Yeah, I
did-
think he would have tried.
He did state he's been testing it beforehand. Too.
Okay, what if it was the opposite one?
That gave it to somebody.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but since they already have elemental powers.
Yeah, that's honestly what I thought it was originally. Before we knew what it was, like that what the power did. That's my thought was like it was something that gave like if you gave it to somebody who didn't have allomancy, it would give them allomancy.
And you know what's crazy? That would fit so well as a replacement because imagine
Mhm.
just shaving off some fucking pieces to your entire army and then actually making what you said you could do come true.
Having like a Mistborn army.
Yeah. Well, no. Okay. First off,
But
I didn't think it would make you a Mistborn.
I
I
think it
figured
makes
it would
what
make you
you're
a
meant to be.
Mistking. Yeah. I feel like that's what I felt like it was, especially because like kind of like what Darkness just said when he showed them like, oh, I can give you powers, and they thought they were powerful. I was like, what if that's what it does? Like, and
Mm,
you're not sharing that with anybody, so like obviously you're not going to find that out, and then we get a actual what it is. So
yeah. So we then get the Inquisitor's point of view, Kar's point of view, uh, as the Lord Ruler announces that the Canon of Inquisition is granted organizational dominance of the Ministry, and now Kar is basically in Tavidian's role. Kar notes that his eye spikes are throbbing as per usual, but the pain is joyful today. Which, great. Uh, the Inquisitors had been politicking for 2 centuries and corrupting the Obligators, so they would no longer need to bow to inferior men. Sen explained how the Inquisitors can see. Their allomancy is so refined that they can see the small hints of metal within everything, and it outlines the whole world around them. He also notes that being an Inquisitor is draining and they need to rest often. The other Inquisitors head off to their rest chambers, but Kara stays behind for a moment. So first of all, were you expecting an Inquisitor point of view?
no, I mean, but after this, no fucking point of view will ever surprise me again.
What
It's
did you
like,
think?
why did you give a point of view to a fucking bad guy?
What did you think, Darkness?
I kind of didn't realize that it was. uh,
You didn't realize it was Carr?
no,
From?
Wow. Yeah. Hey, you're doing it now.
oh,
So, also, what did you think about how the Inquisitors see? Now that it was properly described.
Oh, go ahead, Darkness, because I got something to say. So
you see, that's why I had trouble with that whole fucking section because I could not understand shit, and I was hoping you guys would explain it more. But you guys,
okay, so basically, remember when I was telling you that I think Spooks loses his eyes, like that would be a character development thing, like if he lost his eyes, then his eye powers would be greater because he would lose one, so all the other ones would get amplified. I feel like that's kind of the whole point. They shoved these into their eyes so that they lost their eyesight, so their tin eye abilities got even greater.
Well, this is
And
more
that's
their iron and steel sight
yes,
abilities.
I
Yeah.
know. But my thought was when originally with Spooks, if he lost his eyes, he would go greater, and made me think, okay, well, they shoved these giant spikes into their eyes, making them obviously lose their eyesight. Maybe their tin eye ability is actually stronger. But yes, like they explained it later, like that. But like the way that he's explaining it seems to me more like the way I see the tin eye kind of concept, the way that he can sense things, it just heightens his senses. And like, what's the Daredevil? If you've
Mm.
ever seen Daredevil, when Daredevil is explaining his blindness, he says that the sound, that when the sound would hit things, he would be able to see basically because the sound would vibrate to him, and it would give him an image. It's kind of the way I see it, except in obviously a slightly different change. Like
Hmm.
they're sensing metal and being able to see like the outlines of things and stuff. Like you wouldn't get a clear picture like anybody who has actual eyesight, but you would get a picture enough to know what's in front of you and shit. You would be bumping into everything. I mean, the only difference is that Daredevil has to have like rain or sound to bounce off a person, where they don't actually have to have that. It's just there.
Do you need any more explanation, Darkness?
Did I not explain it well enough?
no, you did.
Okay.
Okay.
So the exterior bonfires go out, and the Lord Ruler says Kar finally has what he wants, and that maybe there can now be peace on the matter. As Kar is about to respond, a coin bounces across the ground and stops at his foot. He glances over at the window and sees a hole in it. Then dozens more coins shoot through the window, shattering it.
Fucking as soon as that happened, I was like, I want a picture of that. So the moment the book was done, I looked that up. The moment it was done, I looked up that picture and was like, yes, I am so happy to see this. Then burst through a window.
Yeah, I found
I mean,
a.
I thought it was going to be a different thing. I thought she was going to like throw a coin in. He's going to see it, and it's going to be like it hits him in the face, like a comedic thing.
Mhm.
Like she pulls it back at her, and it bling, hits him in the face or something. It would have been hilarious to me. But
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
oh, why is there a coin here?
but yeah, so then he sees where was I? A small body then comes to the window, holding daggers as the mists swirl around her body, drawn by her allomancy. Then she dashes at the Lord Ruler. We switch to Ven's point of view as she burns the 11th metal. She sees the past selves of the Lord Ruler, and instead of going for the Lord Ruler directly, she tries to plunge her daggers into the past self's shadow. Instead, her daggers pass right through it. She remembers that she'd been able to touch her past self while using gold, and wonders why she can't touch the Lord Ruler's past selves. She had thought if she had killed the past self of the Lord Ruler, it would kill him, but she had failed. Yeah, what did you think of Vin's plan here, or did you think it had been a good idea? Which, Mythic, you kind of already said you had the same.
I did. Yeah, I had the same idea, and I was kind of hoping she was right, but I didn't think it was going to be easy. I figured it was going to be like, okay, you stabbed him, the knife hits, but like it doesn't do enough. Kind of like you have to kill them all. But
Mm-hmm.
You
What
know,
did you think?
I went a whole different direction with this.
mm,
Because at some points I was debating, is that even his past self?
mm.
And I was thinking, what if it's like some shit that allows you to see like dead people, or like allows you to like have
who he
people like
who,
trapped
who he
them.
murdered?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or not. Well, just like people that are like there, like with the just like
Oh, like ghosts? You see ghosts? Is that what
yeah.
you're saying? Ah, I
Mm.
got you.
And I was like, what if he's just there? Because this motherfucker actually replaced him, you know?
Mm.
And he's like smiling and shit. He's like, he's right there, like kill him. you know? At some point that was like my theory. And then I was like, if that's how it is, then no, like attacking him is probably not the best idea.
Yeah, it might
But
give you information. Is that what you're saying?
yeah,
That would be pretty cool.
as soon as she passed through it, trying to slice that shit, I don't know, it kind of just like went away. I was like, maybe that's not it. And then I was like thinking about like the thing where like Mythic was like, oh, it's Reshek, and then yeah,
Well,
I was
yeah,
like,
I was so happy when she actually made that connection. I was like, thank you.
You made that connection so early on. I'm like, how the fuck?
Yep. Yeah. Well, no, when she made it, I was just like, yes.
Yeah, I know, but like this
So happy
whole
about
book,
it.
you've been like, gold.
Yeah.
This is what gold. You like guessed what gold did pretty much right
Yep.
away. You're like,
I
Reshek
did.
is
Okay,
totally the gold ruler.
so the Reshek one, I will not take as much credit for, because like remember I did have that one time where I fell asleep listening to the whole
I was
fucking
gonna
book.
say yeah,
But the
yeah.
gold I called early. I called that almost immediately when we got 8 medals. I was like, okay, so I feel like gold should be one of them, kind of, because that was before we knew anything about any of the medals. So I hadn't even gotten that chance to listen to a book over, while I'm sleeping. But like,
I also called Electrum. I'm pretty sure that same time you called gold.
but I mean that's just because I'm a D&D nerd, so obviously, But yeah, no, I 100% was so happy when she said, "You're actually Reshek," and I was like, "Yes, I'm so happy! Finally, somebody."
Also, I don't. Okay, I have a theory. I have many theories, but we'll just get to that.
Many theories.
So Kar then attacks Vin, but she's able to push him away. The Lord Ruler then shouts for his Inquisitors, hurting Vin's tin-enhanced ears. Kar attacks her again, and this time is able to successfully hold Vin. Vin then sees a second Inquisitor come into the room, and she notes that the mists aren't swirling around her like they usually do when she's using Allomancy. So why do you think the mists weren't swirling around her at this moment?
Honestly, I don't know. I had a lot of theories on the mist, and I don't even remember it anymore.
Wait, explain that again.
So usually when you use Allomancy, the mists kind of swirl around you. But in this moment, for some reason, the mists are like being almost like repelled away from her.
Okay, but what is she using?
She's using Allomancy.
Do we know specific? Like,
I don't think so. We know she's using tin at some point, and I think she's just generally like using like pewter and stuff to try and get away from the Inquisitor.
Okay.
I honestly can't remember any of my theories on it. I originally had a bunch of theories on the mist itself.
That's why you gotta write stuff down.
I know, but I mean, it's hard to write stuff down when you're driving. So
That's true. You need to make voice notes.
yeah, let me do that while the audible is going.
You pause. You have someone in the car with you. You have them pause the audible.
There you go. There you go. I'm gonna have extra people there to listen to a book that they're not going to be listening to the podcast, because everybody I have is Spanish.
This kind of can tie into a theory that I have, but so I'll just like.
You want to wait? Okay.
A little bit, yeah.
All right. So as Vin thinks it's over, the second Inquisitor rips a spike out of Kar's back. Vin is dropped, and she rolls to the side with pewter as Kar teeters and falls limp to the side. Vin is shocked to learn that this third spike is the secret to the Inquisitors. We learn there's more spikes later, but we'll get to that.
Oh yeah, a lot of spikes apparently.
So the Lord Ruler stands and shouts out betrayal. The Inquisitor rushes at the Lord Ruler, causing his hood to fall back, and Vin realizes that the Inquisitor is Marsh. The Lord Ruler calls for
Yay!
the Inquisitors again, but then notices a small
Nobody in
pile.
this book fucking dies.
Then notices a small pile of 7 steel spikes on the floor, just like the one Marsh had pulled out of a car. Vin begins to head up the dais as well. So what did you think of Marsh being alive?
Nobody in this book fucking
I
dies.
mean, Kelsier died.
We don't know that for sure.
I was happy, but then I was like, you know what? You're here to die again, so you know.
Like, who else? Wait, first off, who else has died?
Yedin.
Which one's Yedin?
Yedin was the leader of the rebellion.
Oh yeah, he did die, didn't he?
Yeah.
Forgot about that guy.
That little boy that got dragged into the fucking forest to get beheaded or whatever.
Do we know his name? No.
He matters.
No, he
You know?
doesn't. No, he doesn't. He was
Yeah, I think Yedin was one of the main characters that kind of got beheaded.
He was the
Not
main
beheaded,
character
killed.
too.
The kid?
Yeah. You never know. What if he was the next like Mistborn or something?
So Marsh. So what are your thoughts on Marsh killing the other Inquisitors?
Yeah, I was just thinking. I thought it was at that point. I thought it was like my thought process was like, oh, he's so cool, you know, like. But I don't know. It kind of feels like a throwaway solution, in my opinion.
That
You know what I
Marsh,
mean?
who spent all of his time specifically to infiltrate the Ministry, found out the Inquisitors' secrets and killed them all.
Yeah.
And, became a head of the ministry?
Except that there's also apparently a whole bunch of other Inquisitors out that may come back.
You know.
Yeah. Cause like, why are you still here?
Wow. I love Marsh.
Marsh is great. I'm so happy that he's back.
I already went through the grieving process. Why are you like putting that all to waste?
So Marsh avoids a backhand by the Lord Ruler and then rips the back of the Lord Ruler's suit and freezes when a normal muscular back is there. The Lord Ruler elbows Marsh in the stomach, throwing him across the room. Vin realizes that Marsh had thought the Lord Ruler also had a spike in his back, but had been wrong, just like Vin had been wrong in her plan. So, what were your thoughts on Marsh's plan to try and kill the Lord Ruler? Do you think he had a good one?
Yes.
Mhm.
I think it was
reasonable,
legitimate.
yeah.
Like it was legit. It could have been a thing.
Yeah, based on what he knew about the Inquisitors.
Yeah.
I'm surprised we didn't come up with a theory that he had his things like that too.
What,
He is
the
spiked?
bracelets?
Like the yeah, essentially like the bracelets.
Yeah, well, I mean, so, okay. He was obviously right. Marsh was obviously right that the Lord Ruler had something to pull out that would, like, kill him. He
Just
just
the wrong
didn't know.
spot.
Yeah, it just wasn't a spike.
Remember, guys, pulling out kills people.
Finn tries to rush to Marsh, but the Lord Ruler somehow pushes the metals inside her body, causing her to fling against a wall. Coins also get thrown, and even bits of the shattered glass slide away from the Lord Ruler as he pushes. The Lord Ruler rips off his jacket and shirt of his suit as he walks down the dais. He has jewelry on his fingers and wrists, as well as several thin bracelets piercing his upper arms. The Lord Ruler asks if they thought him some common inquisitor with endowed fabrications of power. Vin flares pewter and tries to get to Marsh to get away from the Lord Ruler, but the Lord Ruler is faster than her and easily yanks her backwards, flinging her away. Vin tries to pull on one of the Lord Ruler's bracelets, but he pulls his arm upwards, which skews her pull. He pushes her again, and it hits so hard that her earring is torn out of her ear. As she crashes
Wait,
into
real quick. Did it state that he changed to like his other form, or is he doing this as an old guy?
No, it was stated that when that he was in his young form during the.
Yes. Okay, that's what I thought, but I wasn't 100%. Right now, while you were explaining it, I was having the image of him like being old and just being faster than her, just this old man just appearing in front of her constantly.
No, this is like 30-year-old Lord Ruler.
Oh, okay. Still older than her, but yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So he pushes on her so hard that her earring is torn out of her ear, and she crashes into a stone pillar and hears a crack and feels pain in her leg. The Lord Ruler begins to speak again, saying he is God, and asks how many Ska he will have to kill before they can see the truth. Vin finds herself running low on metals and is sure she won't be able to stay conscious without pewter. The Lord Ruler then turns to Marsh and picks him up, saying how dare he do this when he made him superior to ordinary men. Dominant.
How dare you!
That's when Vin realizes. She burns the 11th metal once more and realizes who the Lord Ruler is, speaking the name Rashek out loud. So what did you think of the Lord Ruler finally being revealed as Rashek?
I was right. I was right. Everybody thought I was wrong, but I was right.
I mean, who's everybody?
Well, okay.
Yeah, I was like, what?
Okay. I'm pretty sure Darkness agreed with you several times, and I knew all along.
No. You disagreed with me quite a few times. I don't know what you're talking about. You were trying to get me off the trail, but I knew better. I knew I was right. I got it right. My theories reign supreme.
So, Darkness, what did
Everybody
you
else
think
eat a bag of dicks.
when Rashik was
Oh.
revealed?
I was like, Mythic's right. You know, I was like, he's probably so excited about this.
Well, I was, and I read it before you too. That's the best part.
And then I was like, this is the thing he was talking about during the fucking stream. Yeah.
So the Lord Ruler spins around the name, and Vin says that he killed the real hero of ages and took his place, selfishly taking the power. The Lord Ruler pushes on her again, and Vin struggles to stay conscious with pewter. She then remembers that he's a ferrochemist and realizes that the rest of the jewelry was to distract from the special bands he wore that pierce his skin. She also thinks that if the Lord Ruler can push on metals inside someone, then so can she. She flares her iron and tries to pull, but can feel herself being crushed by the Lord Ruler's allomancy. She draws upon the mist, and 2 new lines of metal appear, and she pulls on them, and flares her iron higher and higher until the bracelets rip free. So what did you think of Vin drawing on the mist here and being able to pull out the bracelets?
So here's a little bit of my theory.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why, but I have a feeling, and it might be totally off the rails, but I think the mist comes from that one lake thing.
The Black Lake? The metallic looking lake? Or do you mean like the
Yeah.
Hall of Ascension?
I think they're both connected.
Sounds legit.
Cause it has a metallic, look.
Metal.
And the mist seems to fucking react to allomancy. So I'm just like, what if like the mountains that go boom boom or whatever somehow affected like
mountains that go boom boom
that somehow affected the state of like the lake, and it's like mistform all of a sudden and shit.
So
Like
you think the mountain that had the lake on it became an ash mountain, and then that's why the mist is like this?
Possibly, yeah.
I'm gonna still go on the fact that I think the mist is an allomantic thing.
Well, I mean, technically, my theory
something. Yeah. But I'm saying I think something is someone or something used too much allomancy and became mist, or it's the expenditure of every time they use allomancy, burning allomancy. Like a forge. It's like the steam.
Or it's just a shit ton of mist wraiths that can become mist.
So Vinish dropped, and the Lord Ruler's eyes widen in terror. He drops Marsh and rushes toward the bracelets, but with the last of her power, Vin pushes the bracelets past the Lord Ruler and out the window. The Lord Ruler screams as he rushes to the window, his muscles beginning to deflate, and he begins to age. Seisin arrives and hurriedly pours some water and metals down her throat, and Vin quickly begins to burn the metals. Vin tells Seiss to see to Marsh, and Seiss is shocked as he sees Inquisitor Marsh. Marsh gestures at the Lord Ruler's withered form and asks what it is, and Vin tells him it's the dead Lord Ruler. However, Seiss notes that he isn't dead yet. Vin, Seiss, and Marsh then make their way over to the Lord Ruler, and Seiss tells the Lord Ruler that the people cheer for a new leader. Marsh says the Obligators will forget him, and that as the only Inquisitor left in Luthadel, he will be in charge of the Ministry. The Lord Ruler then says that he was their god, and they don't understand what he does for mankind, and that by killing him, they have doomed themselves. Before the Lord Ruler dies, Vin says that they have a friend who wanted him to know that he can't be killed, and he is hope. Then she stabs him with the spear she is leaning on. So what were your thoughts on the Lord Ruler's final words?
So, here I agree with Mythic, because I had the same thought process as well. He was definitely, like, he's not the best leader and shit, like, obviously he was a tyrant and did all this shit, but, like, the world wasn't coming to an end as it seemed in the journals. So I'm just like, this dude was doing something to keep it, like, going. The deepness technically was stopped.
Was it though?
Well, it was prevented from taking over.
I don't think it's stopped. I think it's subdued. I think he's just using it.
Well, it wasn't eliminated. It was just technically stopped.
That's what I'm saying. When I say I don't think it's stopped, I think the real thing is that I think he was using, like, taking it from its power, like draining from its power to make it weaker so that it wouldn't do whatever it's doing to kill people. And I think that somehow that has to do with the creating these Inquisitors or something. Like every time he creates an Inquisitor, maybe it's lessening the power of the deepness because he's using it. And now that he's gone, the deepness is going to start gaining power again. And then you're going to have to find somebody else, Vin, to become the hero of ages.
I don't know about draining it, but it was definitely doing something. to stop it or whatever.
Yeah, we definitely agree on the fact that he was talking about the deepness.
Yeah. But I feel like this is definitely connected to like the upcoming adventures and shit that's gonna happen with Vin and all that.
Yeah, we'll
And
get
like Mythic said,
to your theories about what's gonna happen in the next couple books.
yeah. Okay.
So first though, the epilogue. So we got a longer epigraph for our final one, which is oddly, on occasion, I sense a peacefulness within. You would think that after all I have seen, after all I have suffered, my soul would be a twisted jumble of stress, confusion, and melancholy. Often it's just that. But then there is the peace. I feel it sometimes, as I do now, staring out over the frozen cliffs and glass mountains in the still of the morning, watching a sunrise so majestic that I know none shall ever be its match. If there are prophecies, if there is a hero of ages, then my mind whispers that there must be something directing my path. Something is watching, something cares. These peaceful whispers tell me a truth I wish very much to believe. If I fail, another shall come to finish my work.
Vin.
So first of all, do you think this writer really was the hero of ages from the prophecies?
Mm-hmm.
I think it was.
And do you think there will be another hero of ages since he failed?
Yeah, it's Vin.
Probably, yeah. It's probably been. Which is, I'm pretty sure I've gone through that.
Mm-hmm. You've said it already once.
All right. So we have Vin's point of view as Sage explains to Marsh that the Lord Ruler was both an allomancer and a
Wait.
feruchemist.
Are we not going to go over the fact that he said, like, he was being guided?
Oh yeah, I guess I didn't put a question in about that. But yeah, what do you think this thing that he says must be directing his path is?
I think it's one of those multiversal gods shits, but
Yep.
like,
Like the other guy. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
yeah, like the
Okay.
ones that was giving like the original breaths or whatever, and then like all that shit. Like,
Mm-hmm. I don't remember what his name is again.
I feel like this is also like, yeah. I feel like this is like definitely one of those. This is just a fucking intergalactic god war.
I mean, I feel like, honestly, think about it this way, right? It would be really cool, but it probably would never happen. That all of these areas, these places that, what the fuck is his name?
Light
Trying to think
Saw?
of it.
Is that who you're talking about?
No.
Basher?
The fucking
Hoid.
Hoid?
Hoid, yeah, Hoid. All right, all these people that Hoid is going to it's gonna be like a giant tournament in the end. They
That's what I
all
was
see
thinking.
who's the greatest, like like they're gearing up for something bigger, much bigger. That's gonna take all of these universes to come together and fight. Something stupid like that. That's a great idea. Never gonna happen, but great idea.
Mm-hmm.
Like the Power Ranger collab.
He's the giant. He's the giant head in the fucking tube. Yeah.
So, yeah, we have Vin's point of view as Sage explains to Marsh that the Lord Ruler was both an allomancer and a feruchemist. Marsh and Vin had supposedly slept most of the day while Sage told the others, who all lived, that they survived. Apparently, Ellen's new government is being set up. Sage explains that usually the age storing was used for disguises, but if someone could burn their feruchemical stores with allomancy, they might be able to use this power tenfold. He would only have to spend a little bit of time older to store a ton of youth, and he could have another storage to store the extra youth for later. Sage also explains that because he had to keep using more and more youth to keep from aging as he got older, as soon as the bracelets were off of him, he began aging rapidly to the age he should have been. So what did you think about the combination of feruchemy and allomancy?
I understood nothing of how that fucking affected it. Like,
it's broken.
I literally didn't understand it. I was like, okay, he used it to store his youth, and then what? Like,
which made it 100%.
So, yeah.
like
so
what
basically,
part of it amplified it?
So basically, what he's doing is, he's so say he has two metal mines, two ATM metal mines, right? I believe this is how it works. So he drinks a whole bunch of ATM and then forces himself to be older. And he both burns the ATM as well as stays younger to store all of that youth into metal mines. And then he can later draw on those metal mines.
How does burning ATM give him more youth?
Because he's burning the metal that he's putting stuff into.
So basically, because he has both, he can use it for either ability.
Doesn't ATM just let you see like future shit?
But then atium
But he's
is
using it as
ferochemist
youth.
is age. Yeah. So when he burns it, he's burning it for age because he can do both.
Oh, so he's getting the energy from the ATM
Yes.
instead of from him being old.
Yes.
Yes.
Oh,
I mean, he still has to.
Yeah, he still has to be old,
old.
but while
But
he's
think
old,
about
he
it-
burns he uses the atium to like basically make
To
it
stay
so
young.
that the atium that the youth that he's storing is like, I think Say says is like 10 times more
Yeah.
youth than he's actually spending time as.
Mhm.
So when he goes in there for like a couple hours every 3 days, instead of only storing a couple hours of youth, he's instead storing like days or weeks of youth because he's burning atium at the same time.
Which means he wouldn't. Okay, yeah, okay.
And he could do that with any of the elementic abilities or ferochemical abilities.
So he could just turn super buff and shit.
Yeah, so
Pretty
that's
much.
how he was like super buff, and
Yeah.
like that's how he can like heal from beheadings and from being burned alive because he could store health that
I would have
way.
been terrified if I was him and I get beheaded and then I just come back what the fuck?
When this man said, "I've been flayed, I've been hung, I've been burned, I'm like, bitch, what the fuck?"
And apparently, when they flayed him, they didn't get rid of his bracelets.
Apparently,
We'll just work around those. We're too lazy to pull these out.
just flay him with them still in his body.
Well, maybe he didn't have the bracelets set up like that and he just swallowed the fucking metals.
Maybe.
Yeah, maybe that became a thing later. Yeah, I could see that.
Yeah, we don't know when the flaying happened. I think he says it's pretty early on. But yeah, so that's kind of how it works. Is you can basically you can burn metals to turn them into basically ferochemical stores if you have both abilities.
Just busted as fuck.
Yes, it is very busted as fuck, which is why he didn't want any other terracemen to be able to do it.
It made sense, even though he seemed to acknowledge how strong they were.
So Vin then stares at the city and thinks about how Ellen is likely meeting with both Ska and nobles as he drafts a new code of laws for his new government. Vin has her earring back as well, and she isn't sure if she wears it because it's a reminder of her brother and mother, or because it reminds her of the things she shouldn't be able to do. Vin wonders what other metals the Lord Ruler may have hidden from them, which I'm sure Mythic is thinking about that too. What other metals may be hidden from them because of the Lord Ruler?
I was gonna say, did she get her fucking earring back? Which she did, right?
Yeah, she's wearing the earring.
It's just really pissing me off because I wanna believe that she's the same as the Lord Ruler at this point.
I don't think she's a ferochemist. That's the thing. I don't think she's going to be able to do that, but I definitely think she's similar to the Lord Ruler in some way.
I think she's able to do ferochemy. She just hasn't.
So what do you think on Ellen being in charge of the new government?
The fact that we didn't get to hear his speech kind of pissed me off. But,
Yeah. For some reason, I didn't expect him to, be essentially king at that point. But I mean, it works out.
I expected it to be high up, but I mean, king just kind of makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Which also ultimately would make Vin a queen, but
yes.
Yeah, you were right. Vin's gonna be queen if she and Ellen stay together.
Yeah. I mean,
which he'll die in the next book, but that's fine.
I hope so, because her little awkward bullshit. Do I tell him or do I not? Bullshit.
Here's the thing. They're getting married, right? And then she's like, you know what? The deepness is back. And then she's gonna be like, calm down. We're not there yet. She's gonna be like, I need to go to the Well of Ascension and complete this shit, right? And then she's there. She goes and she finds out that the whole city's fucking corrupted and her husband is dead. And then she's the last queen left standing, and then the end.
Well, okay. I do agree with you in the sense that I think that she's gonna come back, and Ellen, at the very least, is gonna be something's gonna happen with him. I mean, I still feel like the deepness is some kind of corruption, like a sickness or something, but it just makes sense with the whole "I've killed my friends and family" thing that the dude in the book said. But
I want the deepness to be a child, just
or childlike, yeah.
Right. So, do you have any thoughts on Vin keeping the earring?
I mean, it's gonna come in handy sometime. Sure.
I think it's gonna be ferrochem related.
I think something stored in it. Wasn't it an obsidian earring?
No, it's a copper earring, I believe.
Oh, it's copper.
I thought it was gold.
Is it copper? I don't remember actually if they told us what metal it is.
Or is it silver?
I don't think they actually told us what metal it was.
We've been over this.
She had something of obsidian, I thought.
She has a piece of obsidian that her brother's keepsake.
Yeah. Hmm.
Which made Darkness think that obsidian was going to be a metal somehow.
Yeah, obsidian is a metal in some aspects, but it's not a metal in IRL. So, like it, yeah.
Yeah.
I forgot what I
So
was going to
they
say.
then bring
Oh.
up the Terrace breeding programs, and Say suggests that the Lord Ruler feared another Allomancer Ferochemist combo who could challenge him. Finn then asks what really happened at the Well of Ascension, what power was there, and Say says that the only person who could have answered that is dead. When Finn says maybe she shouldn't have killed him, Say says that aging would have killed him quickly anyways. Sayson says he'll have to record these new histories as he is a keeper, and Vin asks not to be mentioned too much. Marsh then suggests that possibly Allomancy is what power was at the Well of Ascension, since there was no mention of Allomancy previously as far as anyone can find. Finn thinks about how she had drawn something from the mists during the fight. Marsh then gets up, looking tired even though he'd only been awake for a few hours. Finn asks if the spikes hurt, and he says they do, all 11 of them. Two through his head, 8 in the chest, and 1 through the back to link them all. Marsh also said he had planned to let them know of his survival.
Doesn't make sense to me.
But they had watched him closely at first, and Kelsier moved quickly. So I have 2 questions. Is what do you think Vin drew from the mists? She said she drew something. I think she drew in the deepness.
Yeah, I think the mist is somehow connected to the deepness in some way. That she is the whatever chosen person. I don't know how they explained it or how they said it in the book, but the chosen one, pretty much.
The hero of ages.
And that's it. The hero. I think she's the new hero of ages, and that the deepness is somehow drawn to the hero of ages, and so it's attempting to corrupt her. I guess would be the best way to put it. And obviously, she's going to be the only one who can technically fight that back. So,
what do you think, Darkness?
I don't know.
Okay.
What Darkness?
It's just.
I mean, you don't have to come up with anything.
It's because if I try to think about it too hard, my other theories are gonna get derailed.
Alright. Also, what did you think about there being 11 spikes in Inquisitors?
Well, at first I thought it was like different type of metals, and then I have no idea because I feel like I didn't get enough description of what those metal spikes are. But okay.
Yeah, they don't say the type of metal they are. It just says that there's 2 through the head, so the 2 eye ones, 8 in the chest, and 1 in the back, which links them all somehow.
I feel like it's also ferochemy related, mostly because of the healing factor.
Yeah, because it is mentioned that Marsh heals pretty quickly.
And it doesn't seem to if it were allomancy related, it doesn't use it up. So.
Do you have any thoughts on that, Mythic?
I'm sorry, I had to mute for a minute. I'm back.
Oh, okay.
All right. What was the question? Sorry.
Did you have any thoughts about the fact that there's 11 spikes in Inquisitors?
I mean, aside from the fact that I can't understand how it works in general, yeah, it doesn't make sense to me how it connects.
Yeah, I don't really understand how the back one fully connects them.
Maybe it's like a rib cage and the spine.
Maybe. I don't know. It just doesn't. It doesn't explain to me how it would connect it all together by 1 in the back. I wish they would give you a better explanation on how that works. But maybe we'll figure out how they're actually made. I don't know. Doubt it, because the Lord Ruler's no longer here. So I mean, we kind of get a sense from what he says when he states about when Vin asked him about the other dead body, and he said it takes a lot of people or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it also made me when he came into being, when originally it says, oh, that was Marsh, I was like, yeah, that makes sense. He showed he was really good, and obviously they want the best of the best, so they would probably have put him in this program or whatever to become an Inquisitor. I could understand that.
There was something he didn't want to talk about, right?
Yeah, so we're going to get there. So Marsh mentions that he won't forgive Kelsier for achieving Marsh's dream of overthrowing the final empire, and he also won't forgive him for dying while doing it. Sayson asks about the body, and Marsh mentions how there had actually been several corpses, and that making an Inquisitor is messy, but he doesn't want to talk anything more about it.
Yep.
That was the part where he doesn't want to talk about anything. He's just like, yeah, it's messy. I don't want to talk about it.
I'm sure. A lot of blood.
Yeah, there was a lot of blood.
Mm-hmm.
Marsh then asks about Renault, but says that even the Keepers know little of Khandra. They are either related to Mistwraiths or older Mistwraiths, and usually remain unseen, but are sometimes hired by nobles. Also, the reason why it couldn't impersonate Kelsier before he died was because it needs to consume the bones of the person it wants to imitate, because they have no skeletons of their own.
And that's the only reason I think Kelsier's dead.
Mm-hmm. Marston
Because
mentions
otherwise, I would be like, Sanderson, you don't kill any of your fucking people off. It's annoying.
Marston mentions the Condra is back in a different body and looking for Vin. Apparently, Kelsier had the contract switched to Vin if he died. Say says not to send it away because they are expensive and they might need it in the months to come. So did you have any new thoughts on the Condra at this point?
It's going to be a crucial thing at some point.
What do you pay them with? ATM, right?
ATM.
ATM.
I think that the Lord Ruler has like a fucking little hidden army of Contra or whatever.
You think that's why he gets the ATM? He pays them off?
Yeah, because I don't think he needs that fucking much ATM just for the aging thing. Especially
I don't think he needs it for
that
just.
combo thing.
I don't think he just needs it for the aging thing. I think he's also melting it and creating whatever this other metal is that I hope is a true thing.
If he is doing that, then he's creating the alloy for ATM, which is we have theories on what that would do, right?
What the other one would do? No, I have no theories yet. Let me actually
because it has to tie to like future stuff.
Yeah, so ATM at the current moment, right? It shows the future, like it shows what other people are going to do in the future, right? So maybe whatever the other metal is, it'll show you what you will do in the future. I don't know.
That just gave me a different theory for a different thing, but okay, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So Marston says he needs to go meet with the new king to represent the ministry, and that he plans to slowly try to change the ministry over time. However, the Inquisitors outside Luthadel could pose a problem, and although he doesn't know how many there are, at one point it was rumored that there were around 20. Vin then thinks of the Lord Ruler's final words and worries that she had seen fear in his eyes, not pride. Vin asks Sazed about the deepness, but he doesn't know much. Vin thinks about how the Lord Ruler had spoken in present tense about helping the world, not past tense. So, do you have fears about the Lord Ruler's final words as well, which we kind of already discussed? Do you guys think that he was doing something ongoing, right?
Yeah, 100%.
So it's then mentioned that Elend is using Keep Venture as his headquarters for now, and that they hadn't found the Lord Ruler's supply of ATM in the treasury. Apparently Elend has stopped the Ska and noble soldiers from fighting with the help of Breeze's soothing. Finn notes that Kelsier would be mad that they left a noble in charge, and Say says they didn't put a noble on the throne, they put a good man on the throne. Finn responds that she's known a few of those now, which is kind of cute, because before she had said she'd never met a good man before, when she first joined the crew. So we skip to that night, as Finn watches Ellen from through a skylight. Everyone had accepted Ellen as king, but Marsh says the nobility think they can use him as a puppet, and the Ska are already beginning to form factions. Finn thinks that Ellen will make a good king, though. She hesitates to go to Ellen, thinking she doesn't deserve him. She turns to leave, upset with herself, but then remembers that Reen had died protecting her. Reen's voice whispers in her mind to go back. She drops through the skylight and tells Ellen he reads too much around ladies. Ellen throws back his chair and envelops her in a warm embrace, and Vin realizes this is all she ever wanted. So are you happy with their little ending there?
No, because she took fucking forever. Also, now I'm just sitting here thinking about mistings and how, God, could there be an ATM misting and they just don't know it because of how fucking expensive ATM is? Oh God.
What if Ellen is a misting?
And it's just one for one a metal they don't know.
Is that ATM misting?
Yeah, what if it's a rare metal instead of like a
I have a really big brain theory.
Okay.
Okay. I don't know what metal it is. I'm hoping it's a metal eventually. Because there's apparently something that takes away Allomancy. I'm hoping there's one that gives Allomancy. And what if Ellen eats that gives him Allomancy? And then he becomes an Allomancy. I'm hoping. Only because I like Ellen now.
You do?
Do we have this?
Well, yeah, I like Ellen because he seems to be the only person in this book who has a direct idea. Oh, yeah, that too. But has a direct idea of what he wants to do, and he goes and does it. He straight up was like, "Hey, I made all these laws, guys. I'm probably never going to use it, but I made it. I did all this.
I've done all this research on governments and how they should work.
Yeah, I'm very researched in this. I mean, I'll just, and then oh shit, the girl that I feel like I like, she's in trouble. I'm going to go immediately to her.
I'm also going to get the best guys in my army to go with me.
Yeah, exactly.
Didn't just get anyone. I got the best guys. Plus, I got this guy who knows the palace, very well prepared.
Yeah.
If only anyone had told him that Vin was a Mistborn, maybe he would have brought some medals for her.
Right? He probably would have, to be honest.
He probably would have thought of that.
In all honesty, this second book comes up, I'm 100% think he's going to be like, that he's gonna do stuff like that. Like he's gonna be the
Just always gonna have
sidekick
medals
husband.
with him for.
Hey babe, I brought you like this like 24 pack of like gold ingots and shit.
So what did you think about Reen's voice giving positive advice for once at the end?
I think he needs to fucking like get his shit together and figure out what he wants, cause
I'm sorry, I say that again because I was being talked to. What was that?
I said, what did you think about
That-
Reen's voice giving positive advice for once?
Oh, I know, right? It's her subconscious. It's not Rain's voice. She needs to stop with that.
So book overview questions now. So what did you think about this book overall?
It was a good book.
It was okay.
Yeah, it was a good book.
Where
It
would you
wasn't as good as Warbreaker, but it was a good book.
how would you rank our first three books now between Warbreaker, Elantris, and Mistborn? How would you rank the three of them?
Elantris is
Warbreaker's
obviously going to be the bottom every time, so
I think this.
I don't
was
care what
fun.
book you throw at us, it's going to always be the bottom. It was terrible.
So
Um,
so Mythics is Warbreaker, Mistborn, Elantris, and it sounds like Darkness
Yeah.
is what Warbreaker,
Warbreaker.
Elantris, Mistborn.
Yeah,
Really?
I
What
think it's more because I'm sorry. I think it's more because I'm dulled down from like too many surprises at this point.
That's the one thing I did feel about Mistborn too, is that I felt it was a little too fast paced for me. I like the slower books. And I feel like Mistborn, especially the first book, is very, very fast paced.
Yeah, because when the Sanderlanche hits, it's not that like impactful in this to me
Mm.
because I knew what was coming. Everybody was already setting up for it. Like,
Yeah, that's fair. I think I agree with Darknesses. I don't know. I'm unsure if I would put Elantris or Warbreaker above the other. But I definitely agree that I think of the three, Mistborn is the first Mistborn book is my least favorite, but I know Jesus would probably rate it the top of these three. Anyone watching, Jesus is my fiance. Because a lot of our listeners do not know anything else about our stream stuff.
and
By
she
the, time,
means
by, the
like,
time by the time this comes out, it'll be husband, but sure.
and she means the
Not yet.
the biblical sense, not the
No,
actual,
no,
not an actual
no. I
person.
mean, Jesus,
She-
Latino
no,
man.
she's married to like a picture of Jesus. She has
Okay.
a portrait hanging on her. Like,
She had a whole body pillow
Oh
and
my
everything.
God.
yeah,
Anyways, so I think you guys might have kind of answered this. Do you think that the Lord Ruler got Allomancy from the Well of Ascension, or was there something more that made him more godlike? Like kind of Vin kind of was like, oh, he feels very godlike to me when she looked into his eyes. So do you think he just got Allomancy there, or like
I think he got it at the Well of Ascension.
do you think there was anything else? That was what I'm saying, or is Allomancy what he got? Because Vin kind of like was kind of like, oh, I don't know if that's all it was. Whereas Marsh is like, it's probably just Allomancy.
I think there is more. Ultimately, I always thought it was intent based. Whatever happened at the Well of Ascension.
And do you think
So
he just wanted
if-
power, so that's why he got Allomancy?
Yeah, he wanted that like suppressive power.
I see. What do you think, Mythic?
Well, I definitely think the Well of Ascension gave Allomancy, so I think that's where it all started.
Maybe it's the Well of Ascension because it's melted down metal of like the one that gives Elementy, quote unquote, that we think it is.
Right. And what are your predictions for the next book, The Well of Ascension?
Okay, so first off, I'm going to state it before we read this book.
Mhm.
Okay, Kelsier is going to come back because nobody in this fucking book dies. Now, I mean that goes without saying. The one person that was in the big group
Yedin?
people, he died. That I don't think he comes back. And the little kid, just to satiate Darkness's thing there. I don't think they're coming back. Obviously, there's death in the book, but I don't think like these main people die ever.
Okay.
Because they keep coming back, and it takes me off.
What if it gives?
Just die.
What if Finn goes to the Well of Ascension and it gives her Ferrochem?
That would be pretty cool.
And then we don't even know how Ferrochem activates in a person.
Yeah, so as far as we know, there's no snapping. You're just born with it and able to use it.
For
Faye
some
still
reason,
hasn't really fully told us everything. The Keepers kind of keep things quite secret.
Yeah, I hope that changes.
Although, considering there's the Ferrochemy table at the back, maybe you guys get some more about it next book.
I keep wanting to believe that for some reason that her mother was like either related or was a terrorist person. Yeah.
Alright. Do you guys have any other predictions for the Well of Ascension?
So I don't. What if like the original hero of Aegis is also like not dead?
You think you're gonna learn more about the original Hero of Aegis?
I hope so.
I think we're definitely gonna learn more about the Hero of Ages. It's his, like, that was his whole quest. Like, you're telling me there's a whole fucking book named after, like, where he was going, and he's not gonna be related to it? Nah.
There's also a
He's
whole
gonna.
book named The Hero of Ages, which is the third book.
Exactly, like, huh?
Mhm.
Like, what if she goes there and he's like trapped there somehow or some shit, and then like she's like pulling him out and shit, and then that's the
Mm.
third book or something. And the
Mm.
Hero of Ages turns out to be uh him actually, and Vin's part was just to liberate him, and then they get rid of the deepness in the third book.
All right.
I
Any other
don't
thoughts,
know.
Mythic?
I don't know. I mean, I definitely think it gives him the power. I don't know. I feel like it gave him more than Allomancy, though. I don't know.
Okay.
Like it gave him a heightened power, but
Mm.
I feel like we don't have enough information to know what it gave yet.
What if it is
I
a
have a thought.
tournament sort of thing, and like
I have a thought.
the higher you go in your world's power, the more you are like ascending to like a higher being.
I have an
And then
idea.
you get
Oh.
chose Dragon Ball style.
I don't know if it's the Well of Ascension or anything like that, but I'm trying to think of what the deepness would be, and I'm stuck on the fact that like, what was it? The one guy who keeps going through everything. God damn it, Hoyd. I'm stuck on Hoyd, and like the fact that I feel like there could be other basically Hoyds, like gods or whatever, that would be able to go through time or go through
Worlds?
different worlds and stuff and be able to interact with them in some way, shape, or form.
Mm-hmm.
What if he's something with a deepness, like some person like Hoyd, but they're more evil. They're not like
No, yeah,
here
that
to
I'm
push
pretty sure.
something.
I'm pretty sure in the first book I had a theory that like these were
Mhm.
like gods fighting. Like there's the ones that were like against on one side, and then the other ones that were supporting the
Okay.
ones that ended up
But
on that side.
my thought here is, what if the thing that he's talking about, the when the Lord Ruler died, the thing he was talking about was more of like he was holding back, like he learned something and he's holding back some entity that then becomes known as the deepness, but it's an actual like entity that's able to do things in the world. And with his death, it's like unlocking basically a cage that is opening up and releasing him back into the world, like like a big creature or something, something that's going to ruin the world. It also makes me think about the mist itself. So like like holding back the mist, but like I don't know, it's just something. I want more god shit. Hoyd gives me more, makes me want more god shit. I want to know more about the gods. And
All right.
obviously, like in D&D lore, there are the evil and the good gods, and then there are neutral gods, obviously. But like they have the good and the bad side because you have to have balance. I feel like he could also do that in this book, especially since he's done Gold and Electrum.
Yeah.
I don't know why, but I have like this like tunnel vision when it comes to wells.
Oh wow.
If there's a well mentioned, I'm
yeah,
gonna like
the Lantras, you were also like the well. The one well
Yeah.
in the town.
And not only that, but I'm pretty sure in my mind the pool that was in the library was also like well sort of like form in my head. And also what Hoyt was looking through after. That was just like all well shaped in my fucking head. And then suddenly we get a well of
Small
ascension and I'm
bodies
like,
of
what the
water
fuck is happening?
is what darkness is
Yeah.
focused on.
Did we ever figure out where the Well of Ascension was on the map that you guys had?
Yeah, I think I know
they
where
said
that.
it's in the Terrace Dominance, and the Terrace Dominance is like just
North.
they only show a little bit of it up north, so there's not really like a proper view of it.
I'm pretty sure I saw them.
They have the
Yeah, it's
words
like-
for it, but it's like some mountains.
It's right
Okay.
there. It's number 8 on the map thing.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so that's it for our third book, Mistborn: The Final Empire.